All right, what's up, good people? Hopefully, everybody can hear me just fine. I see a lot of people already making it in the building. Make sure you hit the like button. Yeah, I see the title, you see the topic, you see the thumbnail. Y'all know it's been an ongoing topic, one that I'm not exactly super passionate about, but I think is worth talking about. The as they call them, we're going to get into the definition of what a pick me is, but the pick me's that are propping up, showing up, some of them in the Manosphere, some of them kind of Manosphere adjacent. Some of them grew their channels outside of the Manosphere, but just kind of got caught in the algorithm through maybe similar tags, thumbnails, and titles. I don't know. But either way it go, there does seem to be an intermixing between the Manosphere and now a group of women that I don't know if I coined the phrase or if somebody else said it and I repeated it, but I'm calling them the pick me sphere. The women that are doing similar content to the Manosphere. And I got a resident pick me. I don't even know if she liked that name yet. We're gonna find all that out. We're gonna find all that out. But we're gonna have the conversation about all of that. So strap on in. Let's get ready to go as I find my intro. Let's get ready to go. And let's where is it at? Where is it at? Let's get
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mumia Obsidian Ali. You know who I am. I need no introduction, right? And you're listening to the Grown Man Hour with my man Bernard Riley, heard weekdays right here on YouTube. What do you think about that? How about that? Now let's get back on with the show. Thank you.
What's up, good people? Like I said in the my camera's fine. I'm being overdoing it. I feel like I'm getting out of focus. It's a certain focus. I think that's the focus spot right there. I think I'm most in focus right there. So let me make sure I sit back here. All right. All right. Like I said in the pre-show ramble, that we will be joined by Shay Charday. I'm bringing you up right now. Hopefully you're ready. I don't like to. Okay, yeah, she's looking up. I don't like to bring people up when they ain't ready. I don't want nobody to catch you picking your nose or nothing. And then, want to make sure you're ready before I bring you up. But welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no doubt. I think this is probably our third discussion we've had, third
Yeah.
one-on-one,
Yeah.
something like that. So yeah, you're becoming a semi-regular over here. Becoming a
Something like that.
semi-regular. Yeah. Not many females can say that. Not many females can say that. So yeah. It's an honor. It's an honor. But shout out to the early bird squad, those that make it in bright and early before we even get things started. Uneducated Lame in the building. Shout out to you. Shout out to Watch Gamer Channel. Shout out to Darth Low Trademark in the building. JR in the building says kind words here. He says Shay Sade is actually feminine. She isn't a chameleon. Others were fooled by April Mason. I was not. Did you do any content on April Mason in that whole situation?
I did. I just did one. Now, not the most recent, but I did one where she quit on women, and then I kind of covered off how it was her, Ayanna Vincent, Rebecca Lynn Polk, and I just kind of covered off like what is that actually saying? 3 women who would benefit from telling lies to women because they're their clients, and all 3 of those women quit. So it's like, what's going on? So
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah. April Mason. Since then, she recently shot herself in the foot when she went on the lead attorney. I don't know if you saw that. It was she went on there and said some things, and even Kevin Samuels had to come on lead attorney the next day and do a follow-up rebuttal to some stuff that she said. So it was a whole ordeal. It was a whole ordeal. But anyway, this is a good fitting question that we could get started with. Kiss My Asperger's is asking a fairly basic question that I thought everybody knew the answer to, but there's a lot of debate over what's the actual answer to this question. So he's asking, what is a pick-me?
That's a really, really great question. So I like to define it 2 ways. So there is, the negative way that it's portrayed, which I just figured that out myself a few months ago, and that is women basically call other women who identify with men, male identified, aka heterosexual women who have men, as pick-me's. Now that's supposed to be negative because the connotation is that these women are bending over backwards for them, they're mammies, they're mules, all this kind of different stuff. When at the end of the day, it's just the woman who identifies with a man. Because like I said, if you are a heterosexual woman, you identify with men. I see pick-me's. I think personally that all women are pick-me's because all women actually want to be picked. And so while it's used as a negative term, the reality is, unless we have all these women who are willing to propose to men, willing to get on their knees and buy engagement rings and start planning engagement parties or whatever, women want to be picked. They want a man to pick them. So I think all women are pick-me's. It's just some women find themselves being picked by the wrong guys and they get butthurt about it. And then they shame other women who are happy to be picked. So that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, so that's why you think the women who ultimately criticize the term, or the women who identify with men, or I don't know, argue some of the same points, or make a lot of the same points as the men, tend to agree with the men. In their mind, they're thinking, oh, these women, they just want any man, they'll accept any man, they're probably being abused. Like they throw out some of the worst some of the worst rhetoric. But
absolutely,
truth be told, a lot of them are more than likely the ones who've been in those situations.
No, most definitely.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely. Snuggles in the building. She said before anything starts. Hey, Snuggles be making the rounds. Somebody told me Snuggles mentioned me in some clubhouse chat room, telling the person on stage, you need to go on Bernard Riley's show with that. Snuggles. That's hilarious. Snuggles be making the rounds.
Snuggles becoming a Bobby Wright. I tell Bobby Wright, he's like, I feel like commentator of the year. I see him everywhere all the time at all hours. Right. I'm like, that bro don't sleep.
Before anything starts, I would like you to greet the horse with a warm what is that? With a warm feeling by being very kind and let them hear soulful melody from me. I think she mean greets the house with the Snuggles. Okay.
No,
hi, I'm Snuggles.
Classic.
Snuggles
Classic.
and I would like you to play my music. I just played it. Play my music in respect.
I'm like, Snugs, don't ever
Spirit.
change. Always stay the same.
No,
Never change.
Snuggles, change. Definitely change, Snuggles. Mr. David Carroll, I hope you don't mind me asking that little of you. Hey, I haven't even commented on it yet, but rest in peace to David Carroll. He just passed away. I listened to some of Obsidian last night. We do believe it was the don't want to trigger the algorithm, but the Rona, as we call it online, to try not to trigger the algorithm. That we do believe it was that. And Obsidian, I guess I don't know. I don't know where all the information is coming from, so I'm very hesitant to say anything. But his sister apparently posted on Facebook some information. I didn't see it, so that's why I'm hesitant to say anything. So I'll just say rest in peace to David Carroll. He's somebody who's been in this space for forever, you know. So it was actually long before he's one of them people who just popped up on my timeline long before I even saw anything about the Manosphere. He's very, very, very controversial. Very controversial. You know, you don't got to agree with everything that Uncle David Carroll says, but he's definitely somebody who's been, you know, definitely a pillar in this space, putting in that work for a long time. So rest in peace to David Carroll. He's 56 years old, and black man, we got to get our health together. I'm talking about myself included. Yeah, I know I be in and out the gym, on and off of a keto diet. I got to get back on it after Christmas.
After, right, that part.
well, after New Year's, gonna push it all the way to January. I got to get back on it. But yeah, definitely R.I.P. to David Carroll. E Capone in the building says, I got 5 p.m. on it. 5 p.m. on it. BR. Good morning, Sharday. Well, he says Che. That's Che. That's what the Z stands for. I just found that out. That's Che. All right. Shout out to E Capone. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. And shout out to Joe Ethereal. Appreciate you. You always coming through hard and heavy handed on the super chat end. And shout out to DT in the building. The Western woman's nature is at conflict with her conditioning. I agree with that statement. I definitely agree with that statement. But all right, let's get into it. Oh wait, before we get into it, I forgot. Yeah, you had a one-on-one with Crimson Cure last night, and you know, I got a lot of respect for Crimson Cure and the work that she puts in. She's listen, I've always said it, even back when she was going live and could barely crack 100 people in her chat room. Like right now, she's killing it. I used to always say, man, if this, I've said, like, I don't even know what her audience ratio is, if it's majority women or not, but I think it might be 50-50, but either way it go, I used to always say, man, it'd be great if she had 1,000 people in there, majority women. They seeing a black American Muslim woman with her head covered, spitting some red pill Manosphere talking points. That's just solid gold to me. So I'm glad that that's real. That's solid gold. I'm glad that that's blowing up. And you had a one-on-one with her last night, and I ducked in on a little bit of it. It looked like I had a nice crowd in there. Seemed like it was a success. So go ahead. Just what was your takeaways, or what was y'all talking about, or what were some of your takeaways on that discussion?
I told, especially women, at the end of the day, I was like, if y'all didn't take anything else away from this, let this conversation be an encouragement to you to start to own your own stuff, to own your own truth and be accountable. For whatever reason, I just don't think there's very much a culture of Black women in particular finding the space to be self-reflective. Actually, Dr. T is on Johnson. He made reference to this because I interviewed him like 2 weeks ago, and he talked about how it's almost as Black women have been pedestalized to a certain extent. You know, the Black girl magic, the strong, independent women. Like there's almost been this sense of pedalization to the point to where it's like we almost can't take constructive criticism. And so while I do agree, because there's so much self-hate and low self-esteem within just the Black culture and Black women in general, I think it is good to have constructive conversations and say things that will be encouraging to us. At the end of the day, many of us are just not having the results that we want. If we look at, you know, the rates of single motherhood, we look at the rates of poverty, we look at the lack of good health, mental challenges. Many of us just are not having the results that we want. Our life is not reflective of what we see on Instagram. And it's like at a certain point, you got to look in the mirror and
Mhm.
say, okay, if there's problems, if there's things that I'm experiencing that I'm not happy with, I got to first start with me. And we can't even talk about Black woman empowerment, none of that kind of different stuff, if we can't have an honest conversation about what is actually going on in the present, where our current state. And so that to me, we touched on many different things, but the main point, it's me never it's to bash or anybody, but it's to say we have to be actually adults and be honest. You got to call a spade a spade. Nobody's doing anybody any good if we're just sitting around talking about fantasies, because that's not your real life. You know what I mean? So that was kind of like the main takeaway for me with that.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Osmosis Reacts says the likes are low. I have no idea where we're at on the likes, but if the likes are low, let's get the likes up, people. Let's get the likes up. I don't know if people have thumbs this down. I hate that YouTube changed it to where you can't see how many thumbs down. It's like if somebody like they don't show it. I'm mad about that. I like that feedback. There was a guy I had on the show that I liked him. I thought he was entertaining. I enjoyed the conversation. I got like 119 dislikes. so so I need to hear that audience feedback letting me know don't bring this mother back on the show no more. So I
Well, at
liked
least
him.
it was well watched.
No, it was well watched. It was like 500 people in there, but they wasn't feeling them.
Oh,
They wasn't
dang.
feeling them. I go in and say, shout out to Steve the Dean. I know y'all don't like him, but I enjoyed the conversation with him. But
Well,
y'all let me know. Let me know y'all wasn't feeling it. So I'm mad that they took away the dislike button. That takes away my ability to
I
know the audience.
know. No,
I can't know the audience feedback.
no, you can go, I think, within the analytics and see it in like the back,
Oh,
but you just
okay.
can't do it. It's not to where everybody can see it. But if you go in the analytics in the back, you can check it out.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that. I'll check
Yeah.
that out. Sun is hot raw in the building. Hey, cut it out. But he says she's got a collarbone, so
I
she's
can't.
off to a good start.
I can't.
And shout out to Game Dreamer 58 with the super sticker, the $10 super sticker. I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that. But all right, now we're about to get into it. And I forgot the first thing I wanted. I normally just remember all my questions. I actually got to go back and see what I wanted to talk about here. So all right. So the thing that I'm calling, I don't know if I made up the name or not, or if somebody else said it first, but the pick me sphere. All right. It's
Okay.
here, it exists. Some dudes complaining about it, or these women, they they coming into the space, or some of them saying that they're stealing Manosphere talking points, blah blah blah. Okay, we've heard all of that. But I guess the first question, and I have my thoughts on that, and I may get into that, but like I said, it's something that's worth talking about, but it's not
Mhm.
something that I'm just sword and shield ready to go to war arguing about with people.
Yeah.
But it's worth a discussion. It's worth a discussion. But overall, and maybe you can speak broadly for the women that you've talked to, or you could just speak directly for yourself. But just what would you say the overall goal of what we're calling the pick me sphere? What would you say just the overall general goal of it is?
Well, that's a good question, because I'm what, like 10 minutes in, I think, in YouTube. So I will be honest and say I didn't start my channel saying, oh, I'm gonna be a pick me. I didn't even know what that was. I
Right, that
don't know.
got thrusted upon you.
That
That's what
got
they called
thrusted
you.
upon me.
Okay.
Right. And
Okay.
so I to this day can't say that, like, oh, this is a pick me sphere channel. All we do is talk about pick me talking point. It's like I look at it more as like, hey, I'm a femininity channel that focuses on tackling tough conversations in real world events that women face. So the
Mhm.
reality is most women want to be picked. So of course there's going to be aspects of my content that deal with relationships, because no matter how you spin it, women want to be in relationships, period. So it's like, and a part of that is if you are a straight heterosexual woman that wants a straight heterosexual man, you got to know how they think. You got to know what they're interested in. Like, to me, that is just common sense. And so I think sometimes there's this whole pick me term thrown around like it's something so new and cutting edge. And it's like, in reality, it's like, nah, like a woman who was picked just has common sense and actually knows how to get along with a man. That's age old wisdom, age old advice. This is not about, to me, it's not about, oh, now I'm aligning with this fear or that fear or that fear. Like, it's just we got to have real conversations about how to get along with our men, period. Now, with that said, because for whatever reason, there is so much content out there and there's so much money to be made off of male bashing, especially black male bashing or misandry. I think women like me who actually get along with men, we stand out, because majority of the larger channels out there, especially black female channels, pro-black YouTuber, whatever, a lot of them are male bashing, whether it's like blatant in your face or subtle. So I think just because we're the, some of us are the few who are just like, hey, no, actually we see that men have value. No, actually we see that black men have value. All of a sudden that's so like, oh my gosh, pick me. But it's like, no, I mean, what we're saying is common sense. Y'all over here following some BS. What we're saying is just, this is age old wisdom that people have been knowing for generations, the way I see it. So I hope that answers your question.
No, it does, and it's a good segue to my my next question. When you talk about the information, and women need to hear it, they need to know and understand men and how to relate to men. Now, my thought process, and I'm like when I mentioned Crimson Cure earlier, where I always said that, hey, a black American Muslim woman with her head covered on YouTube, she got a spitting red pill Manosphere talking points, and yeah, if she had 1,000 women in there hearing that, that would be generally a good thing. I don't see anybody could pin a negative on that. So as far as women needing to hear it, is one of your goals at some point to have it bare minimum of 50-50, if not majority female audience, because it does it's a message that women no doubt need to hear. But it seems like when you put the content out there, it's good that men acknowledge that, okay, these women are saying the right things, let me support, that's fine, nothing wrong with that at all. But do you feel that the goal should be, if women need to hear it, the goal should be for y'all to figure out some kind of way to attract or bring women in to eventually have either a 50-50 or majority female audience?
Okay, wait. So you're saying, should the message be to attract more women, basically?
Yeah, or is that just one of the goals?
Well, no, that's a good question. Of course, I want to attract, more women. Like, that's ultimately, I'm speaking to women, and my audience of women it's been slowly but surely growing. But I also recognize, because we live in a space where many of us have not necessarily, we're not used to hearing certain things, and certain truths can be considered offensive. I have to temper that. I have a marketing background, so I know if I really wanted to appeal to feminine masses, like, there is specific things that I could do in order to appease them, but I don't want to pander. So
Right.
like, I could go and do, okay, we're gonna do the whole luxury thing, and I'm always posting Chanel bags, and I'm going
Oh,
trippier, and
okay.
I'm dressed up
Why did
every
hold
single
on?
time, face beat, lace front, on point every single time, and I only post that I'm doing that. New nails, new shoes. Me and my husband going there, like, I could do that, but I'm like, the reality is, the reason I choose not to do that is because most women actually aren't living like that, and I think, and when we're going through an
But
economic,
wait, hold on, time out. Why do you think you got to do all that to get women to hear the message, that you got to post red bottoms and Gucci bags, or I think what is it, a Birkin bag? I don't even know what these bags are called, but why would you have to, yeah, go ahead.
Women are the biggest consumers. That's why many companies who plan marketing, do big campaigns. And one of the reasons why media is so feminist focused, right, is because women, they're the biggest consumers. They pay the most. So much of television commercials ads are focused towards women, to speak to women, to probe their emotions, to to manage their emotions. It's all primarily focused to them because they're the ones that are most inclined to open up their pocketbook. Not to say that men don't purchase, but you probably know this more than
No, I
anybody.
know this. Yeah, man.
And
Yeah,
like I said,
most of
actually
the money,
working.
most of the money we spend, a lot of it is spent on women. So yeah, this is what it is. Selling to women is how you sell
Right.
product. No, we get that.
And like I said, like and again, working with different companies and kind of seeing that consistent theme. And so that's why. And then it's especially among Black women in particular right now, I see this. I think it's somewhat. I don't know if it's somewhat of a war, but there's this whole push for luxury living. Which, hey, I like nice things. I like going to luxury environments, been in beautiful homes, love those kinds of things. Like, so I'm not against that per se, but you kind of see this kind of balance of like either it's the luxury, like the thought culture luxury, or it's kind of the how do you put it, like more divest. But either way, it's like the Black woman deserve luxury thing. And again, I look at that and I'm like, I could do that. That'd be easy. That's popular right now, but that's not helping women because most women aren't living like that. How likely is hypergamy? It's very, 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 very small. It is very rare that you see someone actually jump classes just through marrying. And then you're talking about like marrying outside. Like there's just so many ideas right now that I think are based upon fantasy. And because most women actually are faced with their real life, I would much rather try to connect on the basis of real life. And I do know that that's automatically going to eliminate certain women from it's going to eliminate certain women from the pool because not all women are willing to have real conversations. But I actually want to talk to women who want to have honest conversations and say, hey, okay, maybe I'm not happy with this, or I'm noticing this. How can I do better, or how can I address this? So
Yeah, you laid out a fairly good marketing strategy though. If somebody merged the type of conversations that the type of conversations that you're having, the type of conversations that Crimson Cure is having, it would also merge it with I'm married to this man who's providing this type of lifestyle and all of that, and then they'll come, like I said with Kevin Samuels' show, the women came flocking in to try to hear the game on how to get
yeah,
a high value,
how
high
to get a high
earning
value
man.
man, right?
Yeah, that was how he lured them in. Once they got in, he sat them down and had a real conversation about Black relationships.
Right.
But
And so that's what I'm saying. I posted different trips. I actually have a video I'm editing now talking about like international travel. Like I've, done different things like that. So it's not that I'm not going to speak to those things, but part of me too was just like, I'm just going to be myself. I'm not going around every 15 seconds trying to find different Chanel or Birkin bags. That's not me. So I'm not going to sit here and try to present an image. That's not me either. Like there's just certain things I'm just not willing to do for my own personal reasons. Although I know that doing that could get me more followers or this or that. And I'm like, that's not really what I'm about. So yeah.
Oh, you had mentioned your female audience is going up. And I probably should ask you this behind the scenes. Some people don't like to talk about their analytics, but do you care to indulge? What's your ratio with female to female?
Gosh, I'd have to go. I mean, last I checked, I think it was like 70-30, I think. But it's been a little bit. I try to check back like every week at least. But yeah, it was like 70-30 last I checked. So
That actually don't sound bad. Because some of these chicks start a channel. I guarantee, just looking at their chat room and looking at the comments, it'd be like 95-5 with every comment. I mean, right now my stuff is like 90% male, 10% female, roughly 10% female. Roughly, it fluctuates up and down. But all right, E Capone in the building says, tell him Che. Shout out to E Capone, appreciate your $2 super chat. Grown man business in the building. He says, pick me is simply a phrase used by old bats who are past their expiration date. It's a way of shaming women who don't hate men as much as they do. Hashtag men first. Shout out to the grown man business. I gotta drop a bomb for GMB. Gotta drop a bomb for GMB. An absolute utter crime and failure on my part that I haven't got that man on my show. Whenever me and him get to talking about a one, I always hit him up at the worst time. He a driver. I think he a truck driver. If I understand
Okay.
it right, he'd be on the road. He'd be like, "Hey, I'm gonna be back in 3 weeks. Hit me up." Then I forget. Then I finally hit him back.
Right.
He'd be back on the road. So it's a failure on my part that I haven't had that brother on my show yet. But shout out to GMB. DT in the building. He says if she makes bad decisions in mate selection, you know her credit utilization is high. Woo, get out of there. Get out of there. Get out of there. All right. So you said 70-30 on the male female ratio. That ain't bad. You closing in on 50-50. I mean, that's just one of my personal things. I don't know if, and maybe I overthink that, but ideally, like when I look at people like yourself, or look at Crimson Cure, and it's a lot of other ones. Shout out to Chantel Simone. I'm forgetting some of the names of some of the players. I mean, I my memory's bad, but you know the players in the game. You know who I'm talking about. Yeah, ideally, yes, I would bare minimum like to see that. That's when I think we could step back and say that, okay, this is something genuine that's going on. Women are receiving the message, and then it doesn't look like a situation where women are pandering to men, because there's a possibility of that. Even though, I can look at Crimson Cure, who was putting in the work for years before it was even any money in it.
Before it's even a thing.
She was doing it with 35 people in there for I don't know how long she was. She was doing it for a while. She got years in the game doing this. Back, right now she'd go liable to have 800 people in there. She was putting in the same work when it was 50 people in there and was doing it for years like that. So I can look at somebody like her and I could definitely say it's genuine. But now that it's a thriving market for it, now it's starting to look like it's the fear of the space where there are some women like Crimson Cure and some others who may very well be genuine in what they're doing. Then there's the other ones who are basically on some what I call the female Derek Jackson play. Let me say these talking points. Let me pander. Let me regurgitate these talking points. Let me pander to men and tell men what they want to hear, and hopefully they give me my views and send me some money. It's like that play is on the. Some of them are coming up doing that. I don't like when people just hit a little wide stroke and say everybody is doing that, because again, there's people like Crimson Cure who was putting in that work before the money was even a thing, so
well,
but it is the fear of that. But go ahead.
I wonder, because I'm like, I know this, I've heard this conversation now in the last few weeks in particular, and I'm like, I don't know, one, how you would say, okay, this is a thriving market based upon what? I mean, are we seeing all these women are always getting $100 super chats? I mean, I know for me.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I know for me, like, now if you got like I said, got a woman, she in there, breast, like first thing you see is breast, like I said, face, beat, everything. That's different. Like me, I come up here, like I don't think I've ever had makeup coming up on your show, and sometimes I choose to do that because I'm like, no, I'm gonna try to do something different. I'm not. You don't see cleavage out here. I'm not dressed super provocative. Like there's certain things that I choose to do on certain occasions because I'm like, I'm not here to play games. And it's not to say, you can't dress up. Like I'll do that too. Sometimes I'll dress up, do different stuff, but it's like, you can just tell when somebody's pandering. And for me, like if a woman is pandering, first thing you're going to see, you about to see breast, you about to see shape, you know what I mean? Like everything is just going to be, it's going to be that IG model look. And it's sometimes going to be so distracting. It's like, I can't even hear what she has to say. It's like a thirst trap. Like first thing I think is thirst trap. If it's like thirst trap, usually for me, it's like, okay, that's the indication. But a lot of these women out here, to me, that I feel like are really about it, that's not necessarily their thing, So, but I don't understand that. So I'm like, how can we say it's a thriving market based upon what? Was there like a report from YouTube that says, wow, we're seeing all these female content creators and they're getting this amount of income, like based upon what data? Or
growing, I think growing market. I'll say that. I'll say growing market is probably the right term. Thriving, yeah. I mean, I might pump the brakes on that because again, I don't know exactly what people are making, and part of me don't care. A part of me don't care. I want to make that very clear. I'm not
Right.
pocket watching. I make solid money. I make enough money on YouTube to earn a living. It's not my only source of income, but I make enough money on YouTube to earn a living. So,
Fair.
but
Okay. Fair.
also I'm not pocket watching or jealous or trying to shame somebody else for making money. But it is
Nope.
it is a growing market. I mean, we can see that much. I mean, at one time where I glanced at your channel when y'all was squatted up like the female Avengers. It was like y'all was like 4 or 5 deep on camera. I was like, whoa, who are all these people? That's
Oh
you know,
yeah,
really
that's
you.
when I did the collab with the Pick Me. Shout out to Danique. I mean, she's
Yeah.
been Danica. She's like Queen Pick Me. She's been on here. I think she was in Facebook like 2013 or something. She's been doing it for a long time. So like somebody like her, where it's like she was doing this stuff way before Pick Me was even a thing. Crimson Cure, obviously. Chantel, I think is Chantel and Riva who were on my panel. I think they're newer to the space. But again, pretty, at least my experience, pretty genuine, have real honest conversations. They're certainly not pandering to women, that's for sure. So yeah.
All right. Adonis 1909. Pick Me. Okay, I think I read that one. Pick Me is used by people with more pride and ego than a man. Hence the way they are not chosen in hating. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. And shout out to where's my man Theo in the building. Gotta drop a bomb. Gotta drop a bomb. Theo Wap in the building says, Hola from Brazil, land of endless pick-me's. Shout out to Theo, man. Hope you're having a great time. Hope you're having a great time down in Brazil, the land of the endless pick-me's. Yeah. And I've said this before. The real life pick-me is, that's cool. That's cool. But there are a number, like, okay, I had a woman just she called into my show. I'd never seen her before, and she called up and was just reciting talking points. Sounded like she was reading a script, and it was just like,
so it didn't seem genuine.
It ain't seem right. So I sent her on her way. I ain't get disrespectful or nothing like that. I don't do that kind of thing. I have a conversation with anybody. I agree or disagree, and sometimes if people listening to the conversation probably can't tell how much I agree or disagree. I'll be objective and just ask the questions and get the answers, and it fall where it falls. I'm not out to get nobody like that. But I did have to send her on her way just with some of the stuff she was saying. It was just too some of it just gets weird. A chick that came up, well, I'm married, I'm this or that, it didn't fit feminine friendly. I'm like, okay, why you up here reading off your stats?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's like so it gets goofy, and that's where it's like, so clearly there are ones that see the success that some of y'all are having doing this type of content, and it's like they're just jumping on. Like some of these chicks probably, for all we know, come from the divestment sector trying to switch up their game, because we've seen men actually do that. We've seen men in this space switch up their whole game and start batting for the women. It's like, so we're seeing it on both ways, where it's like right now in this space, we got to vet the men that come in this space. So is there, like, I know you said it's kind of hard to tell, but would you say there's a process that y'all look at when y'all like, how, well, you already kind of got into that, where you say if they just come in too thirst trappy with it, that's sort of like this one is on some, this one is clearly on some get the bag bull.
Well, and now, I mean, look, I'm not, women know at the end of the day, they come on looking a certain way, that they're just gonna get some dude sliding in cash app. That it is what it is. Women know that. They're not stupid. I'm just saying, for me personally, and also it's like I'm a married woman, so it's like I answer to my husband at the end of the day. So if I go on there topless twerking, right? Shout out to like Ciara, right? I'm gonna have to answer to my husband for that. So and for me, it's like I'm speaking to women, so I don't. It's like I don't know. That's just not necessarily my thing. But for me, I think you can just tell when somebody is genuine. Me personally, I've always been a pretty good reader of people, and you can tell when somebody is just like they're genuinely either seeking or wanting to have a conversation or wanting to learn. versus they're just on the script like, okay, let me see what page is it. Oh yeah, fit, feminine friendly, and then oh yeah, and well, men are, you know what I mean, like you can tell the difference. And usually if you look at somebody's page and they're just, for example, all they're doing is just reviewing somebody else's content all the time. They don't ever have anything original. Like it's not an original thought about them. There's not a constructive thought. It's, you can just, it's maybe hard to delineate like, oh, these are the three things, but I think it's generally a mixture of things. But some women, like I said, at the end of the day, they know there's just dudes out there who just want to see, they just want to see pretty women. They want to see cleavage. They won't see the OnlyFans kind of stuff. And women, there's some women they will use that to their advantage, and cyber simps will continue to fund it. I don't, they'll continue to fund that. So,
All right. And some people have talked about this, and the idea, the notion that that the Black Manosphere, in, as I called it, don't know if I invented the name or if somebody else said it first, the pick me sphere.
Right.
Some people have said that, there's two separate things. Some people have said that no, they should be allies. They should, ultimately work together. And then there's the problem. Well, if women are, and this sort of goes back to my previous question, women are leading the channels, got a majority of male audience, and these men are basically following women. Some of the same thing that we said that we wanted to ultimately pull away from, men ultimately being led by women. So that's one factor. That's the case for keep it separate. Then there's the other case for that. No, if men are saying that, hey, this is how women should be, this is how women should operate, then if women are building channels saying the same thing, they attract women to those channels, and then it basically becomes a network of men and women ultimately working together saying, hey, this is how things should operate. And so that's the case for, okay, it's a good thing that there can be, like I called it in the title, the unholy alliance between the Black Manosphere and Pick-me's. But do you think that it could be more or less like that? And I've heard the arguments on both sides with it. And but do you think that it can or should be an alliance, holy or unholy, between the Black Manosphere and Pick-me's?
Well, personally, I think the very fact that there is this whole gender war dynamic within the Black community, period, speaks to our level of sickness. Because the strength of community has never been when men and women don't get along. And there's single mothers over here, and we see Black women over here, Black men over there, and we're bickering. That is the quickest way to our own demise. We can't even blame racism or a system at that point. At that point, we're just in self-destruct mode. So I think the very fact that we're even having these conversations as, oh, well, should we be getting along with women, or should women be getting along with men? It's just like, like how, where are we? Like, do we not understand that we are participating in our own destruction? So for me, my thought is this, that I think there's a difference between supporting a person or supporting anybody who is out there trying to be constructive and trying to help build a healthier community versus just pandering or supporting somebody who's pandering. For me, since I recognize that there is a lot of destructive content out there that is, in my opinion, meant to bring a divide between men and women, that is meant to specifically bash men, bash Black men in particular. And there's obviously systematic and historical reasons for that. But at the end of the day, it's like, that's being promoted, and that's being promoted by women who look like me. Forget about white supremacy. It's like you got women who look like me going out there spewing the same things that I don't know, white supremacists would say, or WS, if I'm supposed to use that term. And I'm like, to me, that's a problem. to me, that's a problem, because I'm like, we're not participating in our own demise. And so it's like, men who experience that, women who experience that, let's say I have sons one day, I want them to grow up in an environment where they can expect to get a level of respect from women who look like them. Unfortunately, right now, I don't see that being widely accepted and widely promoted. And so it's like, I think it makes the most sense as a community, if we want to see certain messages, if we want to see more positive messages, if we want to see more positive representation, we should support those who are actually doing that. We should support men and women who are out there actually getting the message out there. That's why I brought Dr. Tucson Johnson on there. I was like, okay, you know what? Women, we need to actually understand what men are going through. Many of us have heard all the dusty stuff about Black men and all the bad stuff about Black men. We need to actually hear the perspective. We're many of us feminists brainwashed, but we're not hearing the full side. And so for me, it's like I said, if you actually want to see a better, healthier representation and better, healthier messages, then you should actually support those who are doing that, whether it's men or women. So I don't like getting into the conversations that create this idea that there is a divide, because I'm like, it shouldn't be a divide. And I even said this in another video where it's like, even if you look at white feminists at the end of the day voted for Trump. So while they may be over here talking about, oh yeah, you know, these men are repressing us, they know at the end of the day, the best way for them to maintain a level of control and power is to support the white men. We don't understand this. We're over here like, oh, well, these Black Dusties over here, I'm gonna divest all this different stuff, and it's like we're participating in our own destruction, and I'm not for that. So I will support any channel, man or women, that I think is actually trying to do something positive. That's just my take on it.
All right. I have no idea where we at on the likes. I don't even got the stream up right now. I'm trying to pull it up right now. Because damn it. Hold on. Give me a second. All right. 260 people in the building, 135 on the likes. Let's get the likes on up. No reason why we shouldn't be closing in on 200. No reason why we shouldn't be closing in on 200. Let's definitely get these likes up. Shay, say her. Oh. He's telling you to say her name. That's funny. Let me see what. Yeah, see, now I'm forgetting. This is where I go brain dead and start forgetting my my questions that I had laid out on the table. Oh yeah, no, you had mentioned the whole brainwashed by feminist ideals and everything. That is a thing. That is a thing that uh-oh. What was that? Is that on your end?
Oh, yeah, I think that was my end. My bad.
Oh, okay. No. It sounded funny in my microphone. But no, the feminist ideals and all of that is going on. Like what would you say? Well, no, I think I asked you this before. I think I asked you this before. Have you the views or the position that you have right now, have you always more or less had those positions where you leaning in this direction, or was it like an evolution? Because I mean reality is you're a woman born and raised in this Western world, and we know the programming that y'all get, sort of like the message that somebody said earlier that women, a lot of times biology is at war with the programming and conditioning in this modern world. So were you always of this view, or did it change? Did it evolve over time?
It changed and evolved over time for a couple of reasons. Just my own experience, just looking at things, having a pretty honest assessment as to what's going on in the society and Black culture, and just knowing that there's a lot of things that are off. There are a lot of things that are off. So I would say it was certainly an evolution.
Okay. It was certainly an evolution. Reading chat. I saw a good question in the chat room. Now I can't even find it. When you okay, well, hey, we got a super chat question, so I can go right to that one. Sir Tyson in the building with the $20 super chat. He says, wait a minute, Bernie. You let her pass on this, so not voting with one party is wrong. She implied that white Dem voted for Trump as if
I didn't.
A bad thing, because voting for a party that gives only lip service is good. Hold on, let me back up, make sure I understand exactly what he's asking. I'm even going to make it bigger. It says, wait a minute, Bernie, you let her pass on this, so not voting for one party is wrong. I don't recall what you said, that she implied that white Dem voted for Trump. Okay, go ahead.
I was making the point that while this was not making it an argument as to what party is better or worse. I was making it the point that um even white women, and I know you have some ideas here which I disagree, that okay, white women are naturally more feminine and they're less feminist. That's not true. White women were the ones who created feminism, and so many of them even today have the modern mindset, hence why you have you have the white manosphere, you have white MGTOW, they're complaining about the same thing. So I don't buy it that just because you leave the community automatically going to be getting a more feminine woman. With that said, like I said, white women, feminist ideology, they still overwhelmingly voted for Trump, who certainly does not have feminist leading ideology. That was my larger point. And the reason I'm saying that is because even though there are maybe white women who may say that they take on this more, want liberation or whatever, at the end of the day, they know that they have to support their men in order to maintain in power. Black women, I think my particular belief is that Black women have taken on, I guess, feminist ideology and in just policy, just more than anyone. They've adapted it, and to the point to where like they are actively fighting against their men. Other women, they may do it and they may say it, but at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, they're going to support men. They're going to support their men because they know that's going to keep them in power. That's kind of what I was saying. So
yeah, in short, Black women do conduct themselves like they're really true believers when it comes to that stuff. White women, yeah, they play more lip service to it. There are some that are true believers, and they will they will vote in a power play a lot of the time. But when it comes down to it, then yeah, they supported Donald Trump at a percentage rate much higher than what anybody would have predicted. So it's like it's like deep down they know that no, we can't go full gangster with this thing.
That's how they maintain power.
Yeah, we want our options, we want our choices, we want to, we don't want to go back to the 50s, but we're not trying to do nothing stupid to just completely overthrow the system. So yeah, so no, I could definitely agree with that one. Actually we talk about that a lot. Marco Polo in the building. He says, "Love me some Shay Charday." Thank you for the super chat.
Hey,
Definitely, definitely appreciate that coming through with the super chat. When you first started hearing Manosphere talking points, tell the truth, you was triggered at first. You got triggered by some of it at first.
Yeah, so because my first introduction was, I think, like Kevin Samuels. And I'm like, he's triggering to everybody just because even to this day, his approach, I think, is a little bit harsh. Now, I know he's part of it, my opinion. I don't know the man. I've never met him. But part of it, I'm thinking like, okay, well, he has to put in a good show. So he knows at the end of the day, there needs to be a little bit of entertainment. And so, some of these back and forth conversations and sometimes the maybe harsher approach that creates for a more comedic kind of look and feel. And so I keep that in the back of my mind, and I'm like, this is a businessman that knows that he has to portray a certain image to get the kind of support that he has. So, but if you get past his somewhat abrasive approach that he has with some of these women, he's saying good stuff. He's, some of the stuff. I don't agree with everything, but I think most of the stuff he says is valid and needs. And if nothing else, like I said, he's one man that's taken a lot of the stuff to the mainstream and taken an ideology that many men feel. He's been able to bring it to the masses. So, and I think that's important.
I think Soul Provider, shout out to Soul Provider. Me and Soul Provider had a really good conversation yesterday talking about The Matrix. I'm about to go home and watch that as soon as I get off of here. I was going to go to the movies, but I've been convinced to just go watch it on HBO Max. Soul Provider asked a question. I think he's asking you directly as your husband, ADOS, non-ADOS, non-black. Like, let me just make one thing very clear. I would not bring up some card-carrying swirler and divester and have a friendly interview with them. Like that wouldn't happen. So I mean, that much is at least vetted. She could be lying through her teeth and everything she's saying, but that much is at least vetted. She's married to a black man. I've actually, saw the camera behind the scenes when he was trying to, I've actually, I mean, hell, she posts pictures of it. She's married to an American black man. Well, is he ADOS? I don't know if he's ADOS. He's ADOS, I assume. Your husband?
I mean, born in America, yeah.
Born and raised America, African descendant. I don't even know what the hell that means half the time. But yeah, no, I trust me. I'm going to at least vet it that much. That I don't got a divestment swirling chick on here. I don't do friendly interviews with them.
Don't
You
do
can go.
friendly.
No, I mean you can go back and watch the one.
You know what? We'll see if somebody gets back to me, because I've done my own research on divestment and find it problematic in many areas. But I was like, before I completely write us off, let's see if I can have a conversation. Let's see if I have a conversation with one of them. Let's sit down and look at the stats that they use, and let's see if we can really come to the right conclusion. Now, I don't know if anyone's going to actually be willing to do that, because of course, someone came on, I'd have an honest look on, well, you're saying this, but this is what I'm seeing. How do you come to that conclusion? But for me, and again, this because I'm a woman trying to talk to women, and this is what many women are looking at. I'm like, I think it at least for me requires that I engage on that level, or at least try to extend an honest, you know what I mean, an honest attempt at having a logical conversation. We'll see if that actually happens, but
Yeah, no, I had one of them on before. I thoroughly picked her apart. Thoroughly picked her apart on a lot of the stuff that she said. But no, yeah, come on. I mean, yeah, they don't get friendly. They don't get friendly interviews. They get picked apart. Sir Tice in the building. He said, and Sir Tice, I did actually, because you're I put the link in the chat for you, Sir Tice. I ain't putting the link in the chat for everybody. So we ain't about to be in here all day. We ain't about to be in here all day, and I don't do wild. I'm not trying to do a wild, wacky panels. And truth be told, Sade don't want you said you got to leave. Let me just go ahead and be honest. You know how you always say that whenever we do a one-on-one, you be like, I can do like an hour and a half. You say you got somewhere to go. I personally don't believe you. I think that you want to get yourself that out. If you got to run from these crazy Negroes trying to come up yelling.
No, that's not it. I usually I was supposed to have an interview later on that I think got changed. So I may have a little bit of extra time actually.
Yeah.
Usually,
but no, if you wanted to give yourself that out to leave, I actually understand and respect that, because I always say for the most part, a woman who's feminine, she don't want to be, she don't want to put herself in a situation where she got to be going back and forth or arguing and being in a contentious situation with the men. And it's some, so I do agree that I kind of side eye it, the women who go online arguing with men a lot.
That's not. I don't.
Yeah, I side eye that. So I understand wanting that out to like, hey, I ain't trying to be here if you open up a 6-member panel full of dudes trying to come at me. Yeah, so I mean I respect that. But I put it out there for Sir Tice. If Sir Tice want to come on up, or if somebody do want to come on up, have a respectful conversation. I'll let people up bit by bit if y'all want to have a respectful conversation. He says, in that case, Shay, black women vote against their own self-interest regularly. Yeah. I.e. abortion. I know, touchy issue, but who cares about killing off their own allegedly race? They supposedly love 20 million. Talking about abortion right there.
I don't support that, but that's another. To me, that's horrible. I don't know how else to put it.
Mm-hmm. Search the Atlantic, marry him. Huh? The Atlantic, marry him. White women know that they need / want marriage. Black women reject their men, while white women get married in spite of the rhetoric. Yeah, that's
facts. That's facts. I think this whole kind of single, I can do bad by myself, whatever. That's somewhat of a modern luxury, because in other nations that are arguably less developed or just not Western, you don't have women saying this stuff. They understand that they need community and they need men. So the fact that we can even say this kind of stuff speaks to the fact that we're kind of spoiled when it comes to certain things. So.
Let me see. Finding questions in the chat. He says, why are some people so quick to argue with women whom are on your side and support you? Yeah, that's the thing that goes on. That's the thing that definitely goes on. in this space, and I understand it because, again, we've been burned. we've been burned. There's plenty of women that guys have put a lot of support behind. Everybody used to champion April Mason, and then she went on
That's
lead
fair.
attorney, and she
That's fair.
basically explained that she's been basically teaching a strong, independent, don't need no man type of academy. Basically, she's been, it's all kind of stuff like that, and all kind of situations like that where a lot of people come in this space, and they flip the script. They go both ways. They
That's
go
valid.
whichever way the wind is blowing. So I understand it's a legitimate lack of trust. So I get that.
I mean, and the same could be argued. Same could be argued on some of the women's side, where it's like, okay, some of them have maybe legitimate issues that they've had personally, right? That make them to be distrusting the men. Now, does that mean that you create an entire channel and say, well, all men are trash? No, let's like maybe the men you dated and maybe in your personal experience. That doesn't mean that you can just write them all off. Also, me personally, I generally try to take advice from someone who has the results that I want. So while I think it's okay for a single woman or somebody who's not married to come on and give their experience, but I'm like, if you're not married and don't have kids, I'm not going to follow you and take advice on how to get married and have kids when that's not your experience. And so I don't understand why there's a lot of women following femininity relationship experts who don't have any track record of actually being in a long-term successful relationship or marriage at that. Like I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, that was part of what April Mason said, because somebody they put that question towards her, and they were like, "Hey, how are you saying all of this? You're not married or
Mhm,
whatever." And
mhm.
then her response was that her life is the embodiment of what she teaches, and so
But
basically she was,
how if she's not?
because that's what she teaches. She teaches women. She said she uses the men as the bait to lure them in, basically. And then once they get in, she basically start teaching them how to, get their money up, how to get raises, get promotions, start a business, become she trademarked the name feminine CEO, and tell them to
Oh,
basically work hard, build themselves up, become more successful. And then as they become more successful later in life, after they build themselves up, they will then have the pick of the litter and be able to get whatever men they want, because they can they're able to get in rooms, they got the money, they got the status to lure them in. And she basically said that she's
no,
been
that's
teaching women the same the same thing that Kevin Samuels teach men, that same strategy. April
yeah,
Mason basically explained
that's
that's what she's been teaching women. So I'm like, you're teaching you literally, she literally broke down and explained she's been teaching women to be masculine.
yeah,
Like
no, literally, because I'm like, that's a strategy you would tell a man, and to a certain extent, I think it that makes sense for a man. But I
yeah.
mean, we already know for many reasons, like women are on after the biological clock actually is a real thing, and I mean, and women don't want to do. That's what I'm saying. Women don't really want to boss up and level up and work that hard. They don't want to do that. I think that's some BS, because I think some people just use that as an excuse for maybe not knowing how to have a successful relationship. But at the end of the day, most women, I think, they want to be taken care of, but then they want the freedom to not be accountable.
Mm. Yep. Yep.
So
We got Game Changer in the building, coming up to us
okay.
from the West Coast. Hopefully, I didn't. I was about to call you. I was about to call you, but I put the link in the chat, sent it to your emails, because I figured you want a piece of this conversation. So glad you're here. Welcome to the show. You got the floor. You got the mic.
Okay, thanks for having me. So I only caught a little bit of the conversation, but I think that the reason why it's an easy sell is to women is because they don't actually know how difficult it is to boss up.
Yeah,
Like when
yeah,
you're young and you watch Sex in the City, it's like, ooh, I can write a newspaper column once a week and get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to do so. Like they make it seem easy in real life, or in television. You see Robin Givens' character on Boomerang, and it's like, oh yeah, I can be head of marketing in a major Fortune 500 company. It looks easy. So they make it seem like it's an easy thing to do. Like you just go to school, major in sociology, and next thing you know, you're a boss or something like that. They
yeah.
But it takes until they actually find out that it's very difficult to boss up, and then somewhere in their late 20s, early 30s, they're like, oh, this is what men been complaining about. And, they say, okay, I'm ready to settle down or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. I think sometimes, and that's where I think where sometimes the disillusionment comes in, because it's this sense of, oh, this should be easy. Okay, like even if you think of the whole idea of resting in your femininity, which to me I'm like that is a whole fantasy in and of itself, right? Because I'm like, when has being feminine ever really been free of work? But anyways, so that whole idea of like, okay, I'm supposed to just rest and these resources are supposed to just come to me. And I do think somewhere down the line, women, black women, I can speak for them particularly, thought that there are certain things that are supposed to be easy. And I'm like, if you just look historically at where your ancestors came from, right? And their experience here, and then just look around. Like I said, look at the economy. Look at inflation's up. Look at people losing jobs. Like real life is happening. It's not supposed to just be that easy. It doesn't mean that you can't get there, but the expectation that it be seamless without any struggle is just fantastical. That's what you get off of Disney or maybe romance novels. And I'm like, that's not real life.
Exactly. It's a two-person job and you're trying to do it by yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where they get caught up. I mean, they also sell the single mother dream that, that's easy. And they never actually show somebody, trying to go to work on 2 hours of sleep every day. They don't show that aspect.
Right.
Right on. Sir Tyson the building with the $2 super chat says dark femininity equals witchcraft. That was another thing that April Mason talked about. I don't know if you heard that conversation, but he had to just shoot from the hip on what's your thoughts on the concept of dark femininity.
So dark femininity as separate from black femininity, or are those?
No. See, yeah, you're not. Yeah, see, I'm barely familiar with the concept either. I didn't. It's a concept that people have thrown. It's that they've been throwing that out there.
That was coming up on new terms.
Yeah.
I can't keep
well, no. It would, my assessment of it in Game Changer, I know you got some words on that too. My assessment of it is that she was basically trying to explain, trying to find a way to take masculine things that women do and also make it feminine. Like she when she was describing what dark femininity was, she basically described women doing masculine things. Like for example, she said Lara Croft in Tomb Raider, that's dark femininity, where she basically was
We're
just
using like made up characters as examples.
I don't know. Game Changer, go ahead. Actually, okay. I got to step away for like a half a second. So Game Changer, go ahead on that one.
Maybe you have thoughts on this.
Yeah, I did a short video on it. So
okay.
Dark femininity, as I looked it up, the definition outside of April Mason is weaponized femininity. Basically,
okay.
It's femininity that's used against men or.
Wait, hold on. Repeat that. I'm sorry.
No worries.
You sound like you gave a solid definition. So go ahead.
No worry. Dark femininity is weaponized femininity.
Uh-oh.
It's basically femininity that's used against a man to, a woman's behavior. An example of this would be flirting with a police officer to get out of a ticket or something like that.
Yeah.
So basically using femininity to get what you want, even though you don't have feminine intentions on, to do so is the gist of it. So
yeah,
it's weaponized femininity.
Yeah. See, now I didn't even know it or understand it like that. That's
happening all the time. That's happening. I mean, like I said, just go on Instagram. You see that, like I said, if that's like associated with thirst traps,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Then see it all the time.
It is. The reason why they give it a label is to make women feel comfortable in doing it.
I call that toxic. See, that's I did a video where I talked about true versus toxic femininity, and I kind of expressed like, yeah, if you're manipulating somebody, to me, if you're trying to manipulate somebody, doing those different things and to try to use them as if they're just like a tool. Now, there are some guys out there, they don't mind they don't mind being used. It's like, look, if you look good enough, I'll be used for the hour or two, whatever. Some people they are okay being in that exchange. But I think generally speaking, for me, it's like if you're If you're using what you have and you're doing it for evil intentions, I don't see anything positive about that. I don't care how you spin it.
Sir Tice in the building. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. We got Game Dreamer 58 in the building. Says great discussion. Che is very much legit. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. And also we gotta acknowledge a borderline celebrity in the house right now. Crimson Cure in the building. Shout out to Crimson Cure. I remember I said a while ago, this was back when I used to see you go live and it used to be 50 people in there. I'm like, man, a Black American Muslim woman with her head cover, spitting red pill Manosphere talking points. That is solid gold. As soon as people finally catch on, and they finally caught on. I look up and she got 800 people in there. So like, congratulations.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Congratulations on your
Good for
success.
her.
Congratulations on your success. I gotta throw a question out for. Hell, I'll drop the link. I'll drop the link. But if you don't got time, I do want you to answer this question from the chat, because one thing that I did say to Charday in a Game Changer, I want your thoughts on this as well. I said the ultimate goal for women to do content similar to what they do, it should be to have either a 50% or majority female audience. If you care to, if you care to give that information, Crimson Cure, I'm just curious, what is your ratio right now? Because it'd be looking borderline 50-50 male to female when I look at your chat. So if it's 50-50, I'd say that's a great thing, and I don't think nobody could pin an L, can find any negative in that. So but that's just a curiosity question. But the link is in the chat if you definitely want to come up and join this conversation. But so shout out to Crimson Cure, and she dropped a $20 super chat. She said, "Thank you for that. Means a lot, Bernard." Absolutely. No, definitely. Congratulations on your success. Definitely congratulations on your success. You definitely deserve it. I always say that you was one of the ones putting in that work for years before it was even money to be made. I mean, like so yeah. So no, definitely got to give Crimson Cure her props on that one. But GC, what do you think about something that I say? And I don't know if you probably got a different view. In fact, I think I know you got a different view. I think I heard you say it before, but you can go ahead and clarify. I think that the women who produce this kind of this kind of content, the ones who get called the pick-me's or whatever, it's always the potential chance where if they got a majority male audience, it could definitely look like, okay, they're just pandering to men. They're just figuring out a way to flip around the whole Derek Jackson side of the game. So their ultimate goal should be to have either a 50%, if not majority, female audience. That should be their ultimate goal. So what's your thoughts on that? Go ahead.
Yeah, they can't really control their audience. They could put a message out there and make it for females,
right?
But you can't really control who gets it. And I'll give an example of this because I learned this in school. I thought it was interesting that the game Pac-Man was actually made for little girls. They discovered that at the time that boys were the primary consumers of video games, and still are actually, but they said, okay, I'm going to make a game that's primarily for young girls and women. And then Pac-Man came. It was made for them, but boys still bought it and used it. You really don't have control over that.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying right there. I think that's kind of different if you're talking about a video game, and yeah, we know who the consumer of a video game is. It's not a lot you can do to get women to consume it. But so the video game Miss Pac-Man is still the same video game. It's Pac-Man running from the ghost.
Pac-Man was made for women, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I must have heard you wrong.
It's supposed to. No, Pac-Man was made for women, and then when that didn't stick, they tried Miss Pac-Man, and that still didn't stick. But you're right; it is the same thing. She just put a bow on it. They just put a bow on it.
Right. Okay. All right.
I
I
mean,
see what.
back then, so outside of like violent video games or like Donkey Kong or games where it was actually shooting and like Centipede and stuff like that, it was like, okay, this is a boy thing. We're gonna have something that's not violent or anything like that. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't think video games is really for women like that. So they tried, but it didn't really work. Now, as far as this goes, so take somebody like Crimson Cure, for example. And, I think Shay was saying that she has 800 people watching. So, let's just say her audience is 10% women. She's still talking to 80 women. She can't
Mhm.
really help that there's 720 men that decided to come in and,
No, I'm not blaming them for who shows up. Like I want
yeah,
to make that very clear. I'm not blaming them for who shows up. I have no control over who shows up to watch my show. No, nobody has control over that. You just put out your content. Whoever shows up. I'm just saying that if we can agree that the message that's being said is a message that women need to hear, we can just generally agree that yes, it would be better and fully 100% legit. Not saying it's not legit, but it would just be legit through the roof if some way somehow. And I don't know how they. I don't know the exact marketing strategy. Actually, Sade laid out a good marketing strategy to do it, but it would be it's but I don't know the exact marketing strategy to get women to genuinely pull up and consume that kind of content. But if we can agree that women do need to hear it, then I do think that's a worthy goal to try to get women in there. I think we can all agree on that, right?
oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
But
All right.
I do want to say that I once again, it's not that women. I don't think that's that women aren't consuming it. I think that it's that men are consuming it again because we're looking at the percentage,
Mhm.
And once again, 80 women. Then let's just assume that it's 10%, because mine's is 10%. So 80 women are watching, So if she were to have 8,000 people, you know, doing it, then it would be 800 women watching. And I don't think it's really a matter of getting the women to come. It's probably a matter, and I don't want to say get the men to stop coming, but the percents are going to look bad because the men resonate with the message more. It seems like.
Right. Ryan Cipher in the building. He says, just showing support. Keep up the good work, Bernard. Hey, thank you for that. Appreciate it. And Crimson did respond. She said, Bernard Riley, my female audience right now is not close to 50-50. I was kind of hoping it was. She said, it has grown significantly over the past few months, but I've had nearly an all-male audience for a long time now. So yeah, I
Okay.
mean, all right. Well, I mean that answers that. Thank you for answering that. Thank you for answering that. She
You
says
know,
women consume. Well, hold on real quick. Hold your thought, Charde. She says women consume my content. They come on their own, but the men who watch me expose my content to women they know. Lots of women tell me that's how they know of me. Truth be told, Crimson Cure, my woman, I don't know if she comment. I don't think she comment. I'm pretty sure she don't comment because I don't, I don't play that shit. But I'm not just playing. Not really though. But I know she listens. I know she listens to you because I did. She was trying to find a podcast or something to listen to at work. This was a long time ago. I just said, hey, well, check out Crimson Cure. So yeah, I took her phone. I subbed her to you. So she do listen from time to time. So that is a true point that bears out in my situation. I did turn my lady friend onto your content. So there's that. Go ahead, Sade, you got it.
yeah, I was saying back to your earlier point, producing content that women are attracted to. I mean, again, there are certain things you can do, like makeup tutorials, again, like promoting luxury lifestyles, fashion. There's different things that you can do. And those are different areas myself where it's like, okay, I want to try to delve into those more. I've done a few things, like I said, travel and cooking. And so I'm just still a relatively newer channel and still trying to figure out certain things. So it's like I haven't it's going to take time, but
Yeah.
I think to his game changers earlier point, all you can do is kind of put the content out there. And I think for me, it's more important to be secure on your principles and your message, and then the right followers will come, versus trying to tailor your message so much that you kind of lose your core values just so that you can get that 50-50. So I would rather stay true to like, this is who I am, this is what I believe, and then whoever comes versus just trying to grift. Because y'all all know people who grift, and to me, grifting is different than evolving. That's different than like, oh, okay, maybe I was wrong on this, or maybe I've reached a higher understanding on this. That's different than just somebody seems like they're just changing their principles just to try to find how they can get the most amount of followers. To me, that's I don't want to do that. So
one thing that I'll throw out there, hold on real quick. I wanted to go back to see, this is where I'm messing up. I'm losing. I had a bunch of questions written out, then I lost them. So I hate when I hate when I do that. So I'll go to Game Changer on this one. GC, you're one of the ones who you've been one of the biggest supporters of what. And by the way, hold on. The term "pick me sphere" was people say. Have people been saying that, or did I just start saying it? I don't know if I made that up.
I don't even.
I made it up.
Okay, good. Okay, I felt like I heard it somewhere, but I didn't want to take credit for it. But if you made it up, I give it to you. Cool. Cool.
Yeah, I made it up a couple of weeks ago.
Cool. It's yours. Trademark it. All right. Yeah, trademark it. And so when it really blow up, you can try to own rights to all this shit. I'm just playing. But you've been one of the biggest supporters of that, and you've taken some criticism of that. You know, you've been told that you have to hold L after L for women who go left or go right or this or that, women that you've supported previously. Before we even get into all of that, what's your biggest reason? I think we've talked about this off the air, but we might as well have to own the air conversation. Like, what's your biggest reason and motivation in doing so and supporting the women? Because I mean, you know, people have made some decent arguments like, hey, these women can grow a channel like that. They don't need your help. Why you even bothering? What's the point? What's the purpose? Why even do that? And they're going to blow up and forget who you are, the whole work. So what's your reason and motivation and all of that, and even being the huge supporter of what you coined, the phrase you've coined, the pick me sphere?
Well, when you look at all the organizations that exist, there's always a female counterpart. You know, all of these successful organizations, whether it's the Masonic Order, you know, or, you know, the fraternities, there's always an accompanying sister sorority, except for one fraternity, one Black fraternity. So, you know, why wouldn't typically these organizations, you know, work with them? They, you know, just like football players have cheerleaders or something like that, they're the feminine counterpart to, you know, a masculine order. And I think that something like that would be very helpful. It shows that we are capable of working together in tandem in order to complete a goal. And since that goal is to rebuild a proper family structure, I don't see that happening without a separate arm.
Right.
What's you got some thoughts on that, Che?
Wait. Somebody said K.A. Psi has no sister.
What's the name? What's the name of the person?
No, I'm not going to say what it is, but it's Kevin Samuel's fraternity. Yes, they do. It's SG Row. Why would you? But
he's saying fraternities don't
no,
have.
He mentioned a specific fraternity. You know, once again, Kevin Samuel's fraternity. He said has no sister organization, but it does.
Yeah, most of them do.
Yeah. So and you know, it makes sense to have one.
Is there an official date for when?
Yeah, I'm looking at that. He said, was there an official date for when the Manosphere had all of its testosterone sucked out? Shout out to
the day that
Laro.
you came.
Shout out to Laro. I like Laro. Laro be talking that junk. So shout out to Laro. Respect to Laro. We got a legend in the building. LAR movement still moving. What's going on? Glad to have you here.
Man, what's happening, y'all? I'm finally off in enough time to jump on something.
Right on, man. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. True legend in the building.
I
What
got a
you?
little bit of a question,
Okay.
but just for the conversation's sake, do you think it's easy? They keep saying it's easier for the women to grow channels. I kind of agree with that.
Hmm.
But what's for the ladies? What's y'all perspective? Is it that easy to get men supporters?
I think you are muted, Sade.
So is it easy to get male supporters? It's, I guess it's hard for me to say, because it's like relative to what. I think for me to give a really good balanced answer, I'd have to go back and look, okay, what's the rate of growth among YouTube channels? What's the average monthly gross income, if you will? So it's like it's hard for me to just say, oh yeah, all women are this, all men are that, because there's some channels that have been out there for years that don't get any support, and some that do. I'll say for me, like I said, I know there's things that I could do. I think that would help me, that would help boost my following, that I choose not to do, that makes my growth a little bit slower. So me personally, I don't feel like it's been like I just got on and bam, this is all taking off. Like, I feel like it's been a lot of work, and there's still a lot of work that I have to do, and I'm not like racking in thousands every single month. So for me, that has not necessarily been my experience, but that, like I said, that's just my anecdotal experience. I don't really have the numbers to go and back that up to say that
Well,
that's the
well,
case.
let me say this, because I'm looking at your channel right now, and I've noticed this. I've noticed that even after you kind of made it on the scene with the well, you did a video that got some views, went
Mhm.
semi-viral. I think it was something like, I watched 5 hours of Kevin Samuels, or
Yeah,
however
yeah,
many
okay.
hours of Kevin Samuels, and this is what I think. And I think that caught the attention of Obsidian, and then Obsidian came on your show, and I mean, no, you came on Obsidian's show, and that kind of got you a little boost. And then you reached out to me, and then you came on my show, and that maybe got you a even smaller
I did
bump.
a
Who
review of
knows?
Obsidian. That's what it is. I think I did a review of his book, or no, was it
Yeah,
his book or his content? Because I
yeah,
reviewed.
well, here,
Mhm.
wait, here's the larger point that I'm trying to make,
Okay.
is that even after that, I would like periodically look at your views, and you'll do a video and actually put a lot of work into the editing, and I know that can take a lot of time. It may still get like 200 views, 250 views.
Yeah.
You might get one that might get up to 600. You did,
Mhm.
like, I remember you did that real good video. I actually tried to share it. It was real good, because you was talking about the Black
The
beauty
Black
standard,
Beauty
and you
Standard.
did the
Yeah.
whole history and broke down. You went all the way back to
Mhm.
Africa. It was a real good, well researched video, where you tried to pin down the answer to the question. When they say, oh, well, that's a white beauty standard, then you was like, okay, well, Obsidian asked the question, what is the Black beauty standard? And you actually tried to take the time to answer it. And I'm like, I saw the work you was putting in, and I'm looking at your channel right now, and I'm seeing stuff from as little as a week ago that still got just a few hundred views.
Right.
So really, the thing that's truly growing your channel, I can't see your analytics, but from the outside looking in, it's really just networking and collaborations. When you network and you collaborate with people, you get a little bump in the views, probably exchange some subscribers, and
Yeah.
you get a little bump. But overall, when you just make a lot of your regular content, like, there's a video from hell, I'm looking at a video from yesterday that just got 879 views. So it's not like you just going live and just killing it. I mean, you and Crimson Cure, yeah, that video y'all did yesterday, that's going to hit 2,000 views. Because I
Yeah.
mean,
But like I
again,
said,
that's
it's
partnered up with somebody that got 50K subs. So overall, you're not killing it like that to where people can just say, oh, it's so easy for a woman. But for some women, it is hella easy for various reasons. We see them blow up real fast. But then shout out to El Wapo, Beautiful Lies channel. He's blown up. I remember I had him on. He had less subs than me. That was like about a couple months ago. Now I need to go get on his channel to borrow some subs. He got like 3,000 more subs than me now. But he did some good networking. He got in with Anton and the Lapeef Network.
Yeah.
He tight with the lead attorney. They've been on there a few times. Lead attorney shared some of his stuff. So a lot of it is the business moves you make in the networking that you do.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's a lot of it that people don't take into consideration. They just look at a woman and say, she got titties. That's why her channel is bigger than
No,
mine.
there's plenty of channels out there that have, everything's out. Like I said, face beat, lace front laid, tight, everything shape, all that. And they'll have, they may have a couple 1,000, and then there's a couple hundred, and there's some where it's like they have 500,000 and they come up like me, bareface, chill, like, because it's not just like, oh, she's a woman, she's automatically gonna get, for the most part, you do have to have good content. And then also too, what people don't understand, like, for example, okay, look at Melody King. I'm planning on interviewing her hopefully sometime in January. She's blown up. I know she just got back on YouTube and she's gotten a lot of support, which is great. She's doing some good content. Also, people don't understand though, it's like she was doing stuff beforehand. She was on YouTube beforehand. She, I think, knows Kevin Samuels. Like, she has connections. So it wasn't just she just like came out of nowhere and is just killing it. Like, she had done a lot of work, a lot of networking and stuff way before she kind of launched her new venture. And so sometimes people are not always privy to some of the behind the scenes work that happens, or even the behind the scenes preparation. A person maybe being on a different platform, let's say TikTok or Facebook or Twitter. Those sometimes there can be some of that cross promotion. So it's not just like you're a female, you get up on there and then you're going to be getting cash apps and Venmo in DMs all the time and be able to retire. Like, no, like you got to put work into it. Yeah, there's things that you can do to pander. Like I said, there are things you can do to pander, but that can only get you so far,
Mm-hmm.
So
Roddy God podcast in the building. She says, GC, I am a former pole march president of Kalpa Alpha PSI. We do not officially recognize any sister organizations. There may be chapters in certain regions that do, but it is not official.
mm-hmm.
Okay, fair enough. I'm not from one of those regions. I mean, from as I understand it, the that they both started in Indiana, so they recognize them as the same. Nevertheless, they function as such, and furthermore, they have the KKIs, which is obviously a sorority created for the support of the men in that fraternity. So let's not do that, brother. You know what I mean. Officially or unofficially, you know what I mean. There are sister organizations, or there's just a bunch of groupies for them. Let's not be obtuse.
Right on. But shout out to the Roddy God podcast, and also a special shout out to E Black in the building. I did an interview on his channel last night. I do interviews periodically, even pretty much most of the time when somebody asks, I'll come on the channel and whatnot. But I went on E Black. That was one of the best interviews I've done, man. The brother is doing real good work over here. Yes, he does say some crazy stuff from time to time. Every now and then he be simping or got his cape on, and we got to put him on trial and got to have a come to Jesus talk with him, try to talk him back to reality. But he's a good brother. He does good work over there. We had a real good conversation. I definitely highly recommend his channel. We're doing good work. He got it. He's running it very professional, good graphics, good editing, good all of that, all the way through. E Black is doing good things. I see big things in his future. So moderators, drop his link in the chat. I definitely highly recommend what's going on over there. Did a great interview, great discussion with E Black. So shout out to E Black. RM, you know what to do. E Black, hold on. Yeah, you got a wrench, E Black. Drop your link. That way the moderators can pick it up if they not sub to you already. So just go ahead and drop the link to your channel, then they can pick it up and spam it out in the chat room. Marco Polo in the building says, beautiful Black women speaking with logical sense are always going to get Black men to support them. And yeah, and that sort of goes against my whole little thing that, hey, I think they need to have majority female audience. But the fact of the matter is, yeah, men are going to show up and support that. They probably will never have majority female. That's just my pie in the sky.
Well, especially, I think, granted, like if men feel marginalized, especially if Black women feel marginalized, not only from society but from their own women, then it makes sense that they're going to want to go. It's kind of like I don't know, an oasis, right, for them. So it makes sense that they would want to go to a channel that's like, okay, we're going to get some support. There's some hope out there. And my thing is, it's like, if there's a lot of negative messaging out there, there's a lot of just negative, just garbage, meant to just spew propaganda, especially against younger generations. And it's like those kind of channels that I think that are really having good, positive, constructive things to say, they should be supported. because that's the only way you're going to get the message out there, is by having the shares and by having those views. So that's where, to me, it does take the support of those people to actually, so we can kind of combat some of those lies, because there are a lot of reasons, for, I think, men out there to be skeptical with a lot that's going on, and with a lot of the content that we hear being, shown on women channels. So
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Do you think that if you would have negative messaging, you would have less pushback from women?
Yes. Unfortunately.
Why? Why do you think that is?
No, that's a couple of things. I'm trying to think what's the best way, because I'm like, to me, that's so layered.
Yeah.
And I'll preface by saying this. There are many lovely, beautiful Black women that I know personally, and I know that they absolutely exist. Unfortunately, there is money to be made off of misandry, and especially off of Black male misandry. And so even if you think, algorithms, technology, different things like media, there's just money to be made off of Black misandry, and then off of just drama and period associated with Black folks. I don't want to get too, that could be a whole nother rabbit hole, but let's just start there as a foundational. On top of that, within our culture, I think personally, it's like, you can't critique mama. You can't critique women. Many of us grew up and it's like, big mama, whatever, she could do no wrong. She was the, fabric of the family. She held things together. So it's like, I think in respecting, big mama, if you will, it's like we've kind of created this culture where Black women almost can't be critiqued. They can't have honest criticism. Whereas it's very okay and it's very acceptable, to trash dads, to trash fathers, to trash men, because, maybe daddy wasn't there, or maybe just what we've seen on media. We think of, again, of The Color Purple. We think of the different sitcoms where men in particular, and especially Black men, were portrayed in such a negative light. And so us women, I think we have been conditioned to just think a certain way. So when you hear something that goes against that conditioning, it's immediately offensive. And most people can't get past that offense. That's why I was saying, like, even when I listened to Kevin Samuels, some of the stuff was like, ooh, like, that's a little bit harsh. Like, ugh, and the way he was coming across was like, I'm not used to hearing this. But if you get past that, you're listening to some of the stuff, and I'm like, oh, well, what you're saying is actually really valid. I haven't heard it said like that before. I haven't heard it said in that way, but it's valid. But as I mentioned, I think most women, they're not used to that constructive criticism. They're not used to that side of things, because we've grown up with, again, messaging that is speaking primarily to women. So anything apart from that can be a little, it can be alarming, and it can be uncomfortable for some. So I hope that makes sense. Okay. But
yeah, using that, I'm gonna ask this.
Yeah.
So in some ways, could it be said that women in the same age group view themselves as big mama with women in their same age group, so they can't be criticized by their own peers?
Oh, well, it's created because I use the whole big mama as like somewhat of the foundation, but I think a part of that is now you've created this culture where it's like Black women in particular can't, because I mean, now you think about how much, and I don't have numbers on this, but now you have a lot of, there's a lot of younger women having kids out of wedlock, single mothers. I mean, Crimson Cure, she made reference to this where she was saying she's Gen X, and a lot of women in her generation, they were having kids young. And so the big mama was maybe in her 30s, you know what I mean? Or maybe was in her mid 30s, whatever. And so I think we've just kind of adapted that mindset. And then, you add things like Black girl magic, Black girls are queens, all these different things, which I don't necessarily see anything wrong with that in and of itself. But again, going back to the constructive aspect of it, the disciplinary aspect of it, that being removed. And one could argue, okay, is that because many of them some of them don't grow up with 2-parent households? Maybe they're being raised by mothers who aren't providing that discipline, who aren't providing that kind of that male aspect of raising, which tends to be a little bit more controlled, which tends to be a little bit more constructive. I mean, we could get into the reasons why, but I think, yes, younger generations are seeing themselves in that light of doing no wrong. And I think there's different reasons for that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I do got one thing to say here, and that's hey.
What's up?
had to let out that obsidian. Hey,
right.
Unmute, oh man. You got the floor. You got the mic. Welcome to the show. Listen to some of what you had to say last night about David Carroll. I didn't get to catch all of it, but yeah, very sad. And I can always listen to you tell the story about when you. Hey, I don't want to bring the show down. But welcome aboard, Obsidian. Welcome aboard, Obsidian.
Yeah, I see it's starting to catch on.
Yeah, you definitely.
Yeah.
Hey, but no, you got to hold on. Wait. Before I throw it to you, we gotta acknowledge Theo Waff in the building. Shout out to Theo. Appreciate you coming through. Says yet another reason why I use my passport. Abroad men are praised and valued, especially in the media and family. This is about respect. Non-select men are valued also. Shout out to Theo. Appreciate you coming through hard and heavy-handed with the super chat. Can't say enough about Theo and what he's doing for the Manosphere. Can't say enough about it.
Yeah,
definitely a good brother.
Yes,
doing the work. But go ahead, oh man, you got the floor. You have the mic. You can pick it up at any.
I saw her in the chat room. The sister Kendra D of the Crimson Cure channel, and I want her to know, because I know she's here. I want her to know that I applaud her for her success and hard work. She's earned it, and I always give kudos to those who put in the work and reap the rewards. They should be applauded. So I just want to let her know that. And keep up the good work. But as for the topic at hand, I wanted to tag back to something that the two of you were talking about. The idea of Black women, whether they be within the Black manosphere or not, Black women on social media developing a Black female audience where they talk to Black women in a way that red pill Black men would. And can such a thing happen? My opinion is no. Based on everything I've studied and read and seen firsthand, not likely. Now, does that mean that all hope is lost? No. I think what has happened since the 1960s, and I talk about this, both of you have my book, so you know what I'm referring to here. I think since the 1960s, Black America has kind of disaggregated itself. Eugene Robinson talks about this in his book, Disintegration. I think that the Black marital rate, which is at present just below 30%, I think that's actually the norm for Black folks. This is a radical idea, but just work with me on this. I think in the past, circumstances were such that Black people had to kind of more or less be together. I think since then, circumstances are such that now Black people, and by that I mean no disrespect to our gay and lesbian sisters, brothers and sisters, but talking about straight folks here, Black men and Black women don't have to be together anymore. They can want to be together, but they don't have to be together. And I think that the present Black marital rate reflects that. And I think, and that's part of the reason why I say that the idea that there will be a major groundswell audience for Black women essentially telling Black women red pill Black men talking point. I know. As both of you know, everybody knows, I'm currently working on my second, well, yeah, it is technically second book. I'm working on my second book. It is for the lovely ladies. It's basically a book of obsidian for Black women this time around. And one of the chapters in the book is precisely the question. And Bernard, you talked about this numerous times, and I'm shoulder to shoulder with you on this. Let me frame it briefly. Your position, Bernard, is to the proposition that if black men just led properly, black women would submit naturally. Your response to that proposition is bunk. There is, and we can debate the number, but whatever that number is, they exist. There is a percentage or a contingent of black women for whom nothing you do as a black man will compel her to fall in line. Nothing. And there's one individual, and I'm going to say the name so that we all know who's who. There's one individual that I have nothing but respect for on that point that you make, Bernard, when you made this point numerous times. And that's Cynthia G. I can respect Cynthia G for saying there is no black man, no matter what he does, that I'm going to fall in line for. I can respect that.
She's honest.
I can respect that. Now, at that point, there's nothing further for us to discuss, which is the reason why, I really don't talk about her anymore. Because at that point, what more is there to talk about? The woman's made her position clear. There is nothing any black man can do for her that's going to make her fall in line. She has accepted and embraced her disagreeable personality.
Yeah.
And I think at this point in time, when we're having these conversations, I talked about Uncle Dave and his unfortunate passing and untimely passing. I really do feel blessed and fortunate to have been around long enough to see my dream realized, which was a real conversation between black men and black women. It's happening now, big time. Sade is indicative of that. Courtney Michelle, Jessica X, of course, our good friend and brother St. Kevin. So that's actually happening now. And for me, the argument that black women are the way they are in the modern era is due to programming. Black folks love conspiracy theories. I think one of our favorite movies ever has to be The Manchurian Candidate. The MK Ultra program, we've been programmed by the government, that sort of thing. And yeah, there's something to be said about nurture. I will grant that.
Mm-hmm.
But what it denies is that there's something to be said about nature too. I think in the past, women in general, black women in particular, couldn't express their type A disagreeable personalities because the society didn't support it. But we live in an era now where you can be a type A, disagreeable woman, and you actually can make a lot of money. The whole thing about being a boss, so and so. Those of us in the black manosphere push back against that notion. But if we're going to be honest, there is a ring of truth to it. In order for you to be in executive positions and stuff like that, you have to be kind of a hard nose. There's something to be said for that. Certain professions like, trial lawyers, for example, there's something to be said for that. And so in today's world, in the modern era, a black woman that has an inherently disagreeable personality can actually make a lot of money. She can do well. Now, it does come at a price. The black men that she's most attracted to will have little to do with her beyond a short-term mating situation, a weekend fling, a one-night stand, maybe a cuffing season, something like that. But as far as a day-to-day, long-term, emotionally profound, monogamous relationship, shout out to Alan Roger Curry, no. The kind of black men that she would want don't want that with them because they don't want that type of thing. So I'm saying all this to say this. I don't think that it's possible to cultivate a mass following of black women along the lines that you and Bernard were talking about earlier, Sade, in part because of what I just said. I don't think the current environment will support that. I think what's more likely to happen is that you and other black women like you will be able to appeal to a much smaller contingent of black women who want what you want.
Sade, you muted yourself again.
Sorry. No, I agree. I think if the system stays as it is, that there will be no incentive whatsoever for women to even think to change. And that's what I was saying before. I recognize that I believe I am speaking to women, but I know I'm not speaking to all
Wait,
women.
hold on, wait, real quick, back up. Did you say there will be just start from the beginning? You said there'll be. It's like you said there's no incentive for women to change.
Yeah, there's yeah, because and I may mention this before, like for me personally, I think the fact that we can have conversations about not needing men, um, being strong, single, independent, that is a luxury that some of us can enjoy, quote unquote, in the Western, some of these, Western worlds, developed nations, however you want to put it. That's a luxury because in other nations, they don't have that. And women recognize they very much need men, in some cases, just to survive. And so I think because, you have some of these different governmental assistance programs, you have some of these different things that women can use to subsidize instead of men, then it's like they're like, oh, I don't need him. And that's what I'm saying. I think unless there was a drastic change, maybe from a law standpoint, something to where women were forced economically, and a sense of survival to depend upon men, I think some of these women, for whatever reason, would just rather struggle on their own because best believe they're still struggling. Some of them are still
But
struggling, but there
but
is.
doesn't it eventually become an issue of what are the outcomes of these decisions? Like I understand that, like I always say, they can go work in some air conditioned cubicle somewhere and
They
make
can.
just enough money to get by and not have to be attached to no man. Okay. What are the outcomes of that? Again, and black people real bad with delayed gratification, but
Not
what
good.
are the overall outcomes of that? When they find themselves, single and over 40, overweight with a couple kids by a couple men, then 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 they trying to call in the Kevin Samuels show and figure out how to how to get a high value man or how to get the type of man that they should have been trying to get in their 20s. So I think the outcomes for some of them, not all of them, but for I think a high percentage of them, I think those outcomes do kick their ass in the end.
Oh, they
But
absolutely do.
yeah,
Absolutely.
but at 20, if they unless they are really truly thinking from a delayed gratification standpoint, they're not going to see that. They're going to live and operate in that strategy that, hey, I could do what I want to do, I could be free, I can make my little money. If I'm smart enough, I could probably build a career and make a lot of money. If not, I can get the air conditioned cubicle somewhere and make just enough to get by. Worst come to worst, I'm going to fall on these safeties, these social safety nets. So either
Right.
way it go, so yes, we've created a structure in society where yeah, women don't need men, but then we worry, then we sit there and talk about, okay, well, why is the marital rate so low? Why is there lack
Yeah.
of fathers in the home? Why
Yeah.
men should be raising these boys and all of that? We have all that conversation, but
Exactly.
don't look at the reasons laid out. Now it will take delayed gratification. It would take them to have a mindset of delayed gratification
Mhm.
and thinking about the future in order for them to say that, no, I still need to make better decisions right now in my 20s. So that's pretty much what it is.
I think you're better off, to a certain extent. I think you're better off reaching younger generations. Certain women at a certain point in their life, it's like it's kind of, I don't say you're past your prime, but at a certain point it's like this doesn't apply to you. And some people can be set in their ways. And so again, I don't pretend to try to talk to everybody because I know it's not for my message isn't for everybody. It's like if you actually want to have legitimate, honest conversations, it may not be as popular, but if you want better results, then let's talk. But I do recognize that there's because there's a lot of delusion and there's a big market and money to be made off of selling false hope. Some people would just prefer to believe false hope because that's easier than facing the reality of that person's life. And
You
again,
know,
like just my
And
opinion.
I agree with that, Shay. Because Obsidian brought up Cynthia G, and yeah, she's well past the age of return. Like, if you are her age and you're not even in a relationship, then chances are you're not going to have kids, or other than the one she has, of course. But she
Mhm.
the whole white picket fence and having a family full of kids with your same last name dream is no longer plausible for her. So it's really not in her best interest to change at this point. So she definitely wouldn't be part of your audience at all. Obsidian, I want to ask you about the nature versus nurture aspect of the conversation
Yeah.
that you just had.
Yeah.
So, are you saying that black women have a gene that fucks them up, and it's really futile to even speak to them in that regard because they're genetically screwed?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Then please elaborate.
Psychologists have observed over the decades that that people, men and women, have what's known today as the big five personality traits, right? And this has big implications for interpersonal relationships, not just romantic, but professional, collegial, and familial, and social, and so forth. And one of those big five personality traits is to what degree you are agreeable. So women in general, in relation to men, are more agreeable. This explains, for example, when we talk about the gender pay gap, for instance, one reason why it exists is because women are less likely, this has been studied, women are less likely to lobby for raises, to argue for raises and stuff than men are. Men argue for that more than women do. For example, women tend to go into professions that essentially don't call for them being, not very nice or likable people. Whereas men go into professions where, that's, in some instances, that's what the job description calls for. Like I said, being an executive, a trial lawyer, and so on and so forth. When you have to deal with very contentious situations, women tend to be less competitive, again, when compared to men generally. So what I'm saying here is that it's not a defect to be disagreeable, because if it was a defect, we wouldn't have excellent trial lawyers, for example, executives, Wall Street bankers, surgeons, people that that have to make life and death decisions. We wouldn't have that. What I am saying is that the nature is kind of colliding with the nurture. That is to say, there is a percentage of black women who are high in disagreeableness, and they exist in a time where they can express that disagreeableness socially and not really take a real big ding for it, like black women or women in general of the past. And given that black people have much less time and practice with the Western/American idea of freedom, we're in a period in black American life where we're trying to shake all this out. Like, for example, there's another thing, game changer. I've been thinking about this too. I'm probably going to write it in a book. All of this back and forth between black men and black women, right? You know what it really boils down to, and me and Kevin talk about this. Who leads? Who calls the shots? It really is, to tell you the truth. I mean, this is going to sound bad, but I'm going to say it. It really is a struggle for power. Who's going to have it? Who wields it? That's really what it comes down to. And the disagreeable among us, both men and women alike, it's going to be a knockdown, drag out. It's not going to be resolved with doves and rainbows. It's going to be pretty brutal.
So what I gather, because the question was really, do you think that the personality type is a function of nature or nurture? Your answer was a description of the personality type, but not really, expressing, is this nature or nurture? Now,
well,
I
argue more nature.
Okay, so if it's nature, then they're naturally this way, and you feel that the Manosphere is trying to create a system that goes against woman nature. Is that correct?
No, I don't believe the Black Manosphere is creating anything to appeal to black women per se.
Well, the goal, let's just say the goal of my channel then. The goal of my channel is to get women to act, against their nature. Is that what you're saying?
No. See, if the argument is that the Black Manosphere is more in tune with your particular take in your space, that is to say, appealing to black women writ large to change, then I would say that's a fool's errand in the time in which we live. I would say what a better strategy would be is a self-selection process. So women like Shay wind up being here. Let the people let the black women who want to get on board, let them self-select in, and the black women who don't, they'll select out. So we talked about Cynthia G. If you think about it,
Well, I mean, you know, we're not holding like lasers to their forehead, like, and say watch Shay Sade. It is a self-selection process, Obsidian.
But you just got finished saying that we're trying. You said that you were attempting to get black women to essentially change.
No, I'm asking if that's what you believe that I'm doing, that I'm trying to get them to go against what you say is their nature.
I have no idea. I don't want you to take this the wrong way, Game Changer. I don't follow your channel closely enough, so I can't say what you personally do. But
let's just say Sade or anybody who speaks on it. You're saying that she's trying to get women to go against their nature, right?
What I said was, to the notion, and Bernard brought this up earlier to Sade in their discussion, to the notion, the idea that black women like her in the Black Manosphere space, building up a large black female following and essentially telling them what we would tell them, just in a female form. My opinion is that such a strategy is likely to fail because we live in a time where that simply isn't supported in a broad-based way.
Right. But you mentioned a nature aspect of it. Of course, because the society nurtures the boss chick. Yes. But you mentioned the nature aspect of it. And I'm curious on that. You're saying that not only does society support the boss chick, you're saying that they naturally wish to be that. So
yes,
let's just say Shay Sade, for example, should not do what she's doing because she's trying to get women to go against their nature.
No, what I said to Sade is that she can appeal to a neat audience. That is to say, using the numbers, the black marital numbers, for example. We know that 1 in 4 black women will get married in their lifetime. The overall the overall general black marital rate at present is just under 30%. So we're looking at somewhere between, 25 to 30% of black women she can appeal to, in my opinion.
Can I double back for a second?
Go ahead.
Maybe it's just the black woman in particular, her delusional idea of success is perverted. Because what comes with, when we say somebody's successful in the black community, people say athletes and entertainers. But when it comes to the ladies, it's basically a woman who has a job or a woman who went to school. It's pretty much the Steve Jobs, the Bill Gates, the Michael Jordans. So this idea that, well, I went to school and I graduated in bubblegum chewing, so I'm successful. Or, I got a job that's, above entry level, so I'm a boss chick, I'm a CEO. So this idea becomes, people are disagreeable because they think they're successful with the idea of that means I don't need a man, so I'm Steve Jobs. I don't need a man, so I'm Elon Musk. But when you look at the women that they are considered successful, you would probably say what? Oprah, Beyonce, Condoleezza Rice, and they might throw in Michelle Obama. But when it comes to numbers, their numbers are infinitesimally small of the bosses that they actually say that they are. Like guys have a super long list compared to theirs of what success looks like.
Yeah, true. No, true. Yeah, they're not. I mean, I agree that they're outliers, women who were, destined to behave in a masculine function and, are adept at doing so, like a female Viking or some crap like that, or G.I. Jane. But I think that it's outliers. It's definitely not a large enough percentage of the population to say that it's in their nature to do so.
All right.
So if I may, and then I'm going to have to wrap this up. And I appreciate you having me on. I certainly agree with the aspects of what Mr. Epstein said. I think unless I'm misunderstanding, I might slightly disagree on the nature component. If what I'm understanding is that the nature of Black women is to be naturally more disagreeable. I want to make sure I understand. Naturally more disagreeable.
That's not my argument.
Okay, because that's what I'm trying to.
See, that's just it. There's much more variegation between and among Black women than we're willing to admit. All Black women aren't anything. I'm talking to a certain percentage. We could debate what that percentage is. And we can debate to what degree it's nature versus nurture. But what I think we all can agree on, and I cited one example earlier, one very prominent example of a black woman that's highly disagreeable.
And she gets, you're right, and she gets rewarded for that. I agree, and this goes back to my earlier point that because essentially bad behavior is rewarded, right, institutionally, there's not.
See, I don't want to say disagreeable equal bad. That's the reason why I talked about trial lawyers and executives and things like that. Disagreeable does not automatically mean bad, and always being agreeable does not always mean good. We got men who are very agreeable, and women don't like guys who are doormats. So what I'm saying is that we have to be much more nuanced and willing to kind of, you know, deal with the complexity of this.
Well, hold on, wait a second, Obsidian.
Broad brushing it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hold on. Yeah, I don't think we have to be nuanced on that, and I think that if we're talking about men and what men want, we can say a disagreeable woman is bad. Now, if her goal is to be a feminine CEO boss bitch, then yeah, her being disagreeable is good. So, but who gives a damn what a boss bitch feminine CEO wants out of life other than her? So no, we can say that that's bad.
I mean, I'm not saying that you can't. I'm not saying that black men don't have a right to their preferences. They absolutely do. But what I'm saying is that the idea that we're going to be able to appeal to a mass audience of black women in the current era, in my opinion, along the lines of what a Sade or other ladies in the black manosphere of like mind would like to have, in my opinion, that's not likely to happen.
Yeah, and I said if the condition is if a black woman comes and starts speaking red pill talking point in a feminine way, she can be able to attract the masses of black women. No, I agree with that. I have no, I completely agree with that. And as I mentioned before, my goal is not to say, hey, I am a red pill woman that is speaking Manosphere talking point. I don't think, at least for me personally, I don't think that that's genuine. I think as a woman who wants to be in, you know, who's in a relationship and, you know, is talking to a woman who wants to be in a relationship, you actually have to have honest conversations about what that means. But I do know to a certain extent that is going to narrow my audience, and I'm okay with that. I mentioned to you, Bernard, different things that if I wanted to, I could do to bring in the female following. Focus on luxury culture. Black men, you know, black women deserve luxury. All the Chanel, the makeup, the fat. Like, there's different ways to do it. But I agree with Mr. Obsidian that, yeah, if I'm just gonna go and start speaking red pill talking points in a feminine way, am I gonna get all these female supporters? No. And not unless I maybe present something that appeals to that, you know, fleshly nature, if you will, like big diamonds, really, really nice house, like the look. I'm talking about the look, like the aesthetic. And that's why Kevin Samuels, to your point, I think so popular, because he appealed to that aesthetic. And that's what many women are wanting.
Yeah, you would have to be sort of fake and oversell the married lifestyle, where in the truth of the matter on the ground is really not that. You would have to oversell it. You could say everything that you're saying just how you're saying it, but also put a little bling and pizzazz on it and say, and this is the lifestyle that comes with it when you be this feminine woman. Yeah, so yeah, you have to be a little fake with it, and I understand that. But
here's the thing, though, Bernard.
Hold on, but real quick, that's a marketing strategy that will work, and that could bring all the girls to the yard and get them in, sit them down, and then have a real conversation. Because, like I said, that's what Kevin Samuels did. He used that high value man as the shiny object to bring all the girls to the yard, and then he sat them down and had a real conversation with them. So it's a way to make that work, but it takes a certain amount of skill and for lack of a better word, finesse, or just a delicate tightrope walk that Kevin Samuels did really well. I'm still blown away with how he pulled that off like that. But
he was also at it for years, though, to be fair.
Yeah.
He had it for years, perfecting his craft. And so you got to take that. And like I said, example, Melanie King, how many years was she on YouTube and had a following beforehand? So it's like, I'm 10 months in, different. Everybody's at a different.
Oh yeah. I wouldn't put a burden on you to do all of that right away. But real quick, hold on, hold your thought, Obsidian. Bam in the building says, question for her. Men issues are boring, or she is really interested. I have no idea what he's talking about. Do you?
No.
Okay, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Real quick.
I think what Obama is really getting at in his question,
Well, this way, just
he's
hold your
he's
thoughts.
questioning
Opinion.
Sade's sincerity is really what it
Yeah,
is.
that's okay. That's fine. That's fine. Purdue in
Oh,
the building.
and you know what? Honestly, I am really not mad at men who are skeptical. I'm like I can't say that I get it, but I'm like I'm not mad at it because there is a lot of stuff out there. There is a lot of people who are pandering, so it's like I don't.
Yeah, we should be skeptical. Nothing wrong with some honest, legitimate skepticism. Purdue in the building. He says it is the let me blow that up because my vision is fading. It is the interaction between nature and culture. Traditional cultures were aware of the nature of the genders and created norms to bound the negative aspects
I
of
agree.
it. Shout out, yeah,
agree.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
Shout out to Purdue, shook that brother's hand at the Black Manosphere meetup. I do want to go to the new person on the panel. He said in the back chat that he had a question. I'll let you come on up and ask your question. So go ahead. You got the floor. You got the mic. Did you just freeze up right when I got ready to go to you? Did he seriously just freeze up as soon as I got ready to go to him?
So
he waited. He waited very patiently, and I was going to let him ask his question, and then he froze up right at the buzzer. Right at the buzzer. But all right, Sade, it do okay, go ahead. It sounded like you was trying to escape.
Yes, it is my
but no, thank you. Thank you for coming up, and thank you to my audience. Most of y'all was very respectful. I know a lot of y'all got major disagreement with women being in this space or making manosphere talking points. I did want to have look, if a woman is respectful, I will have a respectful conversation. I'll put the questions out there. Let her answer the questions, and that is what it is. All right. We got the y'all know the ones that I will browbeat and beat up. All right. Y'all have seen that, but I'm not
of the disagreeableness on the male side.
I'm not going to police disagreeable men.
No, I'm not saying police. I'm just simply identifying. If you have a contingent of men who cannot countenance the mere idea of Black women who want to be, who want to be with guys, who want to be with men, who want to get along with men, who want to be agreeable, who want to be submissive. If they can't even, to me, that suggests a degree of disagreeableness in them.
Yes, men are more disagreeable is higher in men. Even Jordan Peterson talks about that. Men are more disagreeable. Right. That's why men push and fight and get more raises, and they, men right. are fighters. Men are fighters. So yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Sade, you were on the way out of here once again. Thank you for coming aboard. Appreciate
it. Thank you for having me.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Bye. All right. I do want to circle back to something that Game Changer was saying. I think that the mark was kind of being missed on this. I always say that when it comes to anything, we're talking about nature versus nurture. Everything is on a bell curve.
Right.
So we never want to say that, just a blanket statement that this group is this thing or this attribute. Exactly. We can say there's a higher concentration of this attitude, behavior, or attribute or hardwiring or whatever with this particular group. This particular group does this more than this group. Now, there's a percentage, so we can have the discussion then that if some of it may be nature, some of it may be nurture. We probably can nurture some of it out to decrease that percentage. But just like just like the average Black man is taller than the average Asian man and can run faster and jump higher and punch harder, or like there. So it's on a bell curve. It's on a bell curve. There's some Asian men who are tall and could beat up a Black dude, but on a bell curve, Black men are more physically imposing. We understand that. So on a bell curve, if we look at it, yes, Black women statistically have higher testosterone than other women. So I'm not surprised that they are a little more combative and disagreeable than other women, but it is on a bell curve. Right. All of them don't fall within that. However, when the culture promotes it, and you already have a group of women that have a higher concentration of it. And I'm not even trying to say the majority, even though some could argue, but I'm not even trying to say the majority. But if you just say they have a higher concentration of it, plus a society that promotes it, then that's going to make it just an overrun, just an overabundance of it.
What are they promoting? What is the culture? You said the culture, the society. Okay. What is society and culture specifically promoting?
You don't think so? Go ahead,
Men,
Game.
black women living independently of black men is what they're specifically promoting.
I think what might be better to say is that our society promotes the right of the individual to live the life that he or she deems best for him or herself.
Well, they have that right. They're promoting that they exercise it in that way.
Well,
See,
right.
they have,
Right
quick. They have the right and the ability to live absent a man. Now
they also have the right to live with a man.
Exactly. But
so what I'm saying is the idea.
Time out. All right. We don't do that no more. We're going one at a time. All right. Obsidian, you put a good question on the table. The Game Changer is asking the question. Let's let them answer the question fully and then come back with your rebuttal. All right. I've had a de facto focus group listen to my show, and they said that talking at the same time is just destroying the overall enjoyment of the stream inside earbuds when you got two people going back and forth. It's fun for some, but I think for most is they ain't feeling it. So all right, we're gonna start over. Obsidian, you put a good question on the table. Game Changer gonna answer it, and then Obsidian, you're gonna give a full response to whatever Game Changer says. So go ahead, Game Changer.
Okay, so as I was saying, though the law, the legal aspect of society, they allow women and men to live separately. The concept that they do so is promoted through a media chain. That's what I'm saying. Families are no longer promoted. When was the last time you seen like a Black Leave It to Beaver show or something like that, or something to the equivalent? I think the last one I remember is Moesha, and that ended different. However, how many shows do you see like this new one, Harlem? And then there was another Showtime one, and then there's 20s, and then there's et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, of 4 women living absent a man. So it's obvious what's promoted. It's a little obtuse to say that, what's promoted? Like you've never seen The Color Purple. Come on now.
Well, I respectfully disagree. First of all, you brought in another variable, which was media. When I asked,
media
Bernard,
is used to promote stuff.
When I asked Bernard,
I was telling Game Changer. Hold on.
Yeah, when I asked Bernard to clarify, when he said that first culture, then society promotes a particular behavior, I then asked for clarification on it. The United States way, law, and then that influences society, which in turn influences culture. In my opinion, if we're looking at it through that lens, I don't think it particularly promotes you should be married or you should not be married. I think what it promotes is the right of the individual to decide for him or herself what's right for him or her. I think that's what's being promoted. And insofar as American law and custom is concerned. Now, if you want to talk about what media directed to and for Black people promote, okay, fair, we can have that conversation. And even there's a lot of variation. You, Game Changer, harken back to the early 1980s with the Color Purple film adaptation. I could also say at that same period, The Cosby Show. So there's variation. And I'm saying that I think what's being promoted is the right of individuals to choose for themselves what they want. Even Black college educated people continue to marry at significantly higher rates than lesser college educated people. Even in this period of hyper individualism, how do you explain that? The best of us continue to pair off. So if it was a situation where it was uniform, where everybody and women, let's just be honest here, women and Black women in particular were being so heavily promoted to do your own thing, why is Sade married? Why are the most educated of Black women consistently married in relation to their less educated sisters? So there has to be something to account for that. That's all I'm saying. I'm just simply saying that our culture promotes the right of the individual, and our society has allowed for maximum expression. So if you're a disagreeable individual, a disagreeable Black woman in particular, you now have the ability to express how you want to order your life.
All right, game changer. Go ahead. You can respond to that.
So when I say promotion and I say society is promoting it, I wasn't necessarily talking about the law. In fact, I simply wasn't. I was talking about that there is a promotion engine and things are promoted through entertainment, and that is being promoted. The single life for a Black woman is being promoted. Outside the Cosby Show, there's Oprah, there's everything that has promoted this particular lifestyle for quite some time. So I would contest that, it's not a natural behavior. However, this is a highly society influenced behavior. Now, it's very bizarre, Obsidian. I must say that you would say that they're naturally this way and then give counterexamples to your original point.
But that's what I said.
No, you're interrupting. So, and give counterexamples to your original points when you bring up the women who are married. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then you talk about education. I think that those women sometimes are often work independent of the promotion in order to gain their education. So yes, I do believe that to your original point, you say where it's being promoted. I answered that question. It's being promoted through media. So yeah, asked and answered.
Well, you brought in media. I wasn't talking about media
because it was the answer to your question.
But I wasn't talking about that though. When I was talking to
wait.
Now you're interrupting me. Now you're interrupting me.
Wait a minute. Let me say this. When we say society and culture, what mechanism does a society and culture use to communicate with the people? That's media. Rather, we're talking the newspapers, social media.
No, it's not.
Okay. How do you compete without media? Like right now, what we're doing, like this is media. We're communicating with the people,
which would fall under the rubric of the law.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Okay, so in the halcyon days of radio, you couldn't operate without the oversight of the Federal Communications Commission.
That's clearly not the case today.
Actually, the government, and not just the United States government, these are governments around the world, in light of what has been going on with the whistleblower situation with Facebook, etc., et al., are looking at ways in which they can provide a greater degree of oversight over social media platforms, of which YouTube would be part and parcel of, being owned by Google. My point being is that society.
Okay, go ahead.
My point being that society and culture. See, I understand the Black argument. For Black people, media is very important. We could debate the reasons, but for whatever the reason, it is. I accept that. I understand that. But for me, as an individual, I look at the society in which I live based from the laws and then social customs, and then I consider the media. So when I hear culture and society, I'm thinking, okay, what legal, what rules are being put in place? Who decides those rules? And then I flow from there. So when the question comes, or the proposition is put, that culture is promoting this lifestyle to Black women, my response to that is, okay, exactly who is promoting it? Game Changer said the media. Okay, that's fine. But I gave a counter to his Color Purple. I mentioned the Bill Cosby Show. He followed up and said, well, you said that Black women were this. I never said that. I said, and I want to be clear, that there is a percentage of Black women. We can debate what that percentage is, but there is a percentage of Black women who, in my opinion, are inherently more disagreeable than what would be the norm for women in relation to men.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. And again, we can debate what that number is.
All right. See, here's the thing. Well, yeah, but I just want to say this really quick, because if you say on one hand, Obsidian, that this country promotes people, this country wants people to have their own free choice to decide for themselves and do what they want to do.
Right.
Okay, we can all agree on that.
Okay.
Then it turns into, for lack of a better way to explain it, an arms race of who's going to put out their information, their propaganda, their suggestions on how people should live, who's going to do a better job of getting that out there, who's going to have the biggest bullhorn, who's going to do a better job at putting their views and ideologies on the jumbotron for people to consume it and operate that way. So let me quote Kevin Samuels, who did a really good job breaking down how the whole and I'm going to botch it a little bit because I don't remember it directly, but he was talking about how the whole how they I forgot. Game Changer, you probably remember. Now, Obsidian, I know you remember, because he talked about how they sold that lifestyle to women.
Yeah, it's called the Cosmo lifestyle.
Yeah, that
I've had my
okay, wait, hold on.
Go ahead.
All right. So that was a clear, well organized, calculated way that people use media to influence the culture and influence women, and women operated and changed because of that, and then a whole new generation of women who grew up into that new normal. Like, we know that. So we we know that media plays a factor in
I never said it did.
In what okay, so once you acknowledge that media does promote what changes and what happens in the culture and the society can promote things through media. Once you concede that point, then it's really nothing to talk about. It's like, it's like, I don't even understand why are we even doing this? Like, we understand this. Like, we
because it's much more complex than that. And that's what I'm promoting here, is the need for nuance and complexity. And I know that's a very
actually nuance
very hard. Because
Obsidian, hold on, Obsidian. Hold on. People listen. I people praise me for my nuance and objectivity. Whenever people explain why they listen to me, it's because of my nuance and objectivity. So when it comes to me in my show, nuance and objectivity isn't a hard thing.
But complexity is, because you just got finished saying we don't need to go any further than media. Obviously, we need to go further than that. We have cultural norms which vary from society to society. We have government. We have government and laws. They all interact synergistically with each other. They don't act independently of each other.
And I didn't deny that either.
Okay. No, but you did say you don't need to go any further than media.
No, actually, I front loaded my conversation with showing how the laws and the government is connected to it. The laws and the government says, hey, we don't want to control people. We're going to give the individual the right to pursue whatever they want to pursue.
Right.
Okay. That's how the government interacts with it. Right. Once the government does that, then it transfers over to the individual's views in society and culture and ideology and what they think. And then those individual views, whoever does the best job of putting their views, ideals, and perspectives on the jumbotron and get it out there with a bullhorn and get people to see it. And those are going to end up being the people who affect how the culture moves and operates.
So I
did. Hold on, real quick. So I did make the full connection with all the moving parts and landed the plane. And I think we all can agree on that. So that's why I say I don't understand. This is one of those conversations where I'm like, okay, we can all agree to agree. But I think the only hurdle, the only stumbling block, reason we're stumbling out of the gates here is because I think you tried to argue, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you tried to argue that media does not try to influence society and culture, or media. I think you tried to say that. Is that what you tried to say, or no?
What I'm saying is that Black people give an inordinate amount of importance to media and elide everything else. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, can I respond?
Go ahead, Game Changer.
So the original question was, how is this being promoted? Or is it being promoted? And the answer was through media. Now, the conversation should have ended there, but it went to a level of absurdity that, I think that we should move on at this point. The question was asked and answered, and now the argument is, oh yeah, well, media, I'm talking laws and blah blah blah. Listen, no, you asked a question, it was answered. Let's move on.
You raised a question.
No. You asked the question. You asked the
You
question.
raised-
How?
I didn't ask the question.
You asked the question.
Bernard
How
asked
is
the
it promoted? You asked the question. How is
Bernard
it
asked.
promoted?
Bernard raised the point. I didn't.
Okay, well, let's
All
put
right.
it like this: the point was raised and it was answered. Now,
And you consider it satisfactory for you.
well, it was my answer.
Yeah, so you consider it satisfactory for you. So what you've proven is that you're very self-indulgent. Now, what I want to say is this: if indeed media is all, then how do we explain the fact that the upper middle class continues to pair off?
Okay,
Fair
fair
enough.
enough. Right quick. No, let me answer Bernard. It's reasonable to assume that the upper middle class watch less media, but furthermore, nobody said media is all.
And I also can add to that, and I think you would agree with this, Obsidian. Smarter, more educated people, particularly smarter, more educated, higher earning people, tend to be less affected by whatever is being pushed out there. They're
Are you
less
suggesting
likely.
a cognitive difference here, Bernard?
I talked
Are you
about that
suggesting an IQ difference here, Bernard?
I talked about everything is on a bell curve. I'll say that. And so, yes, the people like that are less likely to be sheeple, as we call them, because they live in a situation where they've created their own world around them. They got to that position. I mean, some of them had stuff handed to them. Let me just acknowledge that for the people that's going to cry about what I'm saying in the chat. But some of them got to that position by making good decisions, and they built a life for them. Yeah. Oh yeah. They built a life for themselves, and so they basically create their own. They create their own circumstances. Put it like that.
Well, Charles Murray talks about this exhaustively in Coming Apart. Matter of fact, he devotes an entire chapter to it called the cognitive elite, the college sorting machine. And yes, the higher educated, the smarter, they do watch markedly less television than the general population. We know in Black American society, Black people, both Black men and Black women, watch more TV than anybody else. Black women in particular consume more TV and social media than everybody. So there's another variable that we're introducing to the mix here. So we talked about the personality, big five personality traits, agreeableness in particular, disagreeableness specifically, but now we're bringing in another vector, which is high cognitive functioning ability, or high IQ. So where does that factor in with Black women who are high in disagreeableness being promoted to by Black media that they don't need to be with a man? How do we explain the fact that a lot of your smartest Black women do tend to get married a lot more than Black women who are lesser educated?
Bernard just explained it, so we should move on.
So we should move on to the women who are lesser educated.
No, I mean we should move on from this topic. Bernard just answered your question before you asked it. So, like,
but the topic is discussing the unholy union between the pygmies and the Black manosphere. If we're talking about Black women who are being promoted to by the media to be disagreeable, could we agree that those women are, based on the evidence that we all agree on here, they're less likely to be high IQ than low IQ?
Yeah, the reason why I wanted to move on is because it really doesn't matter. So if media is a boon for, or a draw for low IQ people, and you have women who want to give a counter media to the existing media engine, I see nothing wrong with that.
I don't see anything wrong with it either.
Then we agree to agree, and like I said before, we should move on.
Per new in the building, he says marriage requires the individual desires to be subservient to the marriage and the rearing of children. Thank you for that.
I agree on both sides. But I want to get back to the game changer about moving on. What do we need to move on to exactly?
Well, I'm just saying that this is something that we can agree on, and we should move forward. We made progress in that conversation. We should,
but the
talk about different aspects of it.
But the question here is, and we can debate the degree, but the question here is, a certain percentage of Black women aren't going to get on board. What to do? I say we should let everything sort itself out. the black women who want to be where we are, let's say. The black women who, and there is evidence that there are black women who want to be here. And be here meaning the black manosphere. Well, let them select themselves in. And the black women who don't want to be here, they'll select themselves out. That's it.
As opposed to what, Obsidian? That's what free choice is.
As opposed to attempting to appeal to those women who have made it clear that they're highly disagreeable and that nothing you do will sway them to try to convince them to be otherwise.
So they're not over at Cynthia G's, saying, hey, you're going to come over to our side or we're going to jump you. Like what you're suggesting is what they're doing already. I don't see what you say. Let the ones who agree come over, and let the ones who don't. That's what's going on. That's what they're doing.
But I was responding to the point earlier before you joined the conversation that Bernard was having with Sade on the question of whether or not black women like herself, now being in the black manosphere and operating, can they build a sizable audience of black women that will be amenable to essentially, black male red pill talking points in a female form? And I say no, precisely for the reasons that we're talking about right now.
Okay. So,
all right, and let me say that because that your statement is kind of predicated on what I said, and let me be clear. I don't have it fully thought out on how they should do it. I'm more or less saying that's one of the questions I wanted to ask her. I wanted to first make the statement that, hey, people like yourself, like Crimson Cure, and I asked Crimson Cure what was her female to male audience ratio. She said it's still majority male. I wanted to ask them that question. Do they one what's their percentage? Do they have a majority male audience? Do they prefer to have a majority female audience, and do they have any idea, goal, or plan to ever get that? Now, if that means doing something out of the nature of what they're already doing to the point to where they would lose themselves, and no, I don't want them to do that. I don't want them to betray what they're doing, because I think what Crimson Cure and Sade is doing, I think what they're trying to do is definitely good. So I don't want them to betray that in any way, shape, or form. I just acknowledge that what they are saying, I do believe women need to hear it. So do they have any goals, plans in any way, shape, or form to get women in there? And that doesn't mean going over and trying to berate Cynthia G's audience. No. Please don't do that.
But it's clear that there is a contingent of black men in the black manosphere that do want to see essentially black women, telling black women like who maybe not her personally, but definitely black women of her ilk, that is to say, of her personality traits, tell them about themselves.
Well, it takes a pretty argumentative woman to pull that off, and I think Jessica X pulled that off, and it was beautiful. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed when she got Chrissy and Crystal and Karazin and Shira Seven's audience to come over there and argue with her. That was classic entertainment. But I wouldn't put that on the shoulders of most of the women that make this kind of content. And I don't even look. I'm not looking for them to, even if they did have a female audience, I'm not looking for them to berate them or beat these women over the head with red pill talking points. I mean, but overall, what I'm saying is their message is a good message, and it would be ideal if they had a majority female audience. That's all I'm saying right there. But how they go about that, I don't know. I don't have the answer, Sway, on that, because that is a pretty that's a tall order, and I understand it is a tall order and a lot to ask. It is a lot to. It's a hard one to figure out, because it again, talk about media and social conditioning. It does go against the programming that's already been put out there. When you hear somebody like Crimson Cure basically not saying that that these women are the best things since sliced bread and it's the men's fault and blah 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 blah. When they hear that, I understand that they're going to have an adverse reaction to it. And so to get them to actually pull up a chair, sit down, and listen, that is really difficult. I'm still blown away that Kevin Samuels figured out how to do that. And I don't even have like I said, I don't have the answer, Sway, on how a woman can even figure out how to do what Kevin Samuels did and be authentic about it. That's a difficult task. That's a difficult task, but I think it's ideal. I'll just say that. And So all right. Oh man. So okay,
I did have another question, if you don't mind.
We got 20. Well, okay. Well, I mean, all right, we can ask a question. But we were almost about to go into some potential absurdity. So speaking of absurdity, okay, well, OG, we're gonna let OG rock for the last 20 minutes. Since we was almost on the edge of absurdity. Let's see if he can push us all the way over the edge. But Obsidian, you said you had another question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
In relation to what we're talking about here. So it has been suggested elsewhere, that is to say off YouTube. It has been suggested that Kevin Samuels is akin to April Mason. That is to say, April Mason announced that she had quit on black women. She was going to go and appeal to black men.
Okay.
The same individual off YouTube suggested that Kevin did the same thing, that he gave essentially, quote unquote, gave up on black men and appealed to black women. So now, personally, I think that's a bunch of bunk. And I told the individual why in specific, points. But for the sake of argument, let's accept the premise because it is compelling. On the one side, Kevin really hit his stride, and this is undeniable. Kevin really hit his stride when he appealed to black women. That I think nobody can deny that. On the other side,
hold on. I want to see where you're going.
Yeah.
But I don't think he appealed to black women per se. I think he just started talking to them. Put it like that. Appealing to them. What's embedded in that in the word appealing to them, to some degree, it's telling them what they want to hear. I could be wrong in that.
You would,
but when you okay. So when you say appeal to them, what I'm hearing is he started telling them what they want to hear. So explain what you mean by appealing to them. Do you mean just talking to them, opening his show up to them, or what?
Yes.
Okay.
Making his platform available to them, specifically speaking to them. You said yourself that he, kind of dangled out the carrot of the high value man and so forth. Also, at the same time, making it clear that he didn't want to talk to the men. He made that clear. Women only call in. He said that numerous times. So I think it is fair to say that, he did make an appeal to black women and that paid in big dividend. I think that's fair.
Well,
that being said,
the only thing I'll say to that, well, shout out to Osmosis React when he says appealing to them is what Steve Harvey does, and that, so Osmosis.
No, that's not what appealing is.
Well, no, but I'm just saying, I'm just acknowledging he was thinking along the lines what I was thinking, but I do see what you're saying. But I do want to add one more thing. I think when I look back at what Kevin Samuels was doing, he was still bringing men up talking to him, but then he brought up a woman, and I don't know if he instantly stopped on a dime and made a 100% change and said absolutely no men. I think he caught the fire from doing that. Those numbers went up and he saw those numbers, and then he was like, hold on, I got something here if I dress a woman down the way that I was dressing these guys down. So I don't know if I don't think
whoop that trick or element is definitely huge, no doubt about it.
So I don't think he said, all right, I'm giving up on men. I think he just opened it up for a woman and start talking to a woman the way that he was talking to the one guy who was fat and eggplant gate. Y'all know what I'm talking about,
right?
He started talking to a woman like that, and it was just it caught more viral fire. It was not full blown average at best viral fire, but it made him go from 500 people or 600 people watching to damn, it's 900 people, or damn, y'all saw Kevin Samuels had 1,000 in there the other night. I remember right when that was happening, and that was from just bringing up a few women and talking to him, and then he was like, okay, I got something. I gotta hit. I gotta keep banging his hit home. So that's why I reject the premise outright to say that he gave up on men. It's like, no, he found a hit song and he kept playing the hit. So anyway, I'll let you go ahead and build your
So my point, and again, for the record, I think the whole premise that this individual off YouTube was attempting to make, I think is very tenuous at best. But nevertheless, I will accept the premise on his face. It's okay. So we got that side with Kevin. Now on the other side with April Mason, she's gone on record in saying that she's, giving up on black women, throwing in the towel, so on and so forth. She then subsequently said on the Lead Attorney show a little while back that if you want to make money in the relationship business, sell them fluff. And I took.
Wait, hold on. Wait, hold on. Wait, I don't think I took. Wait. Hold on. I think it was more like this.
If you ever want to make a lot of money, join the dating industry and give women fluff.
Correct.
All right.
Correct. Yes.
I think I'm gonna keep that one. I think I'm gonna
say that. Yeah.
I was about to delete that, but I think I gotta keep that clip around. It comes in handy. It comes in handy.
Okay. So with both of those situations being the case, I think it's kind of interesting. On the one side, black men weren't particularly interested in what Kevin Samuels was selling in a scalable way. That is to say, en masse. He can appeal to a niche audience with that, but he can't appeal en masse. On the other side of it, if April Mason was attempting to appeal to women, in this case, black women, on the basis of leveling up, doing the work, and so on, and essentially being what black men want, she too would have a limited audience, a limited appeal. And she said as much. She said that on her Instagram video that she did shortly after she made a big announcement on Facebook about all this. And we all heard what she said. You just played the clip on the Lead Attorney. So my point is this. I find it a very interesting situation, at least on its face. Kevin can appeal to mass numbers of black women. April Mason can appeal to mass numbers of black men. I just want to know what the both of you thought about that.
I don't know. Okay. Well, I mean, I'll see what Game Changer think about this, but I didn't know that April Mason was exactly appealing to a mass number of black men. Some of this is my ignorance. I've never watched her do a live stream and just watch the chat and see if it's like 90-95% men in there responding. I know most of her clients and customers, as she explained, were women. So I don't know if she appealed to a mass number. I don't think that comparison could even be made. I mean,
I can see how I don't have any empirical evidence, but I can see how it could be made. I could think of two very good reasons how it could be made.
Okay.
They're sitting right in front of Miss Mason all the time.
Yeah, that too. I mean, yeah, okay. Game Changer, what's your thoughts on Obsidian's question?
I don't really like her wobblies. I don't have an answer to the question because I just don't. But I don't really like her wobblies. They don't wobble. It's like it's a very
hold on, wait, let me ask you this. Do you think she appeals to a large number of black men?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, okay, I don't think so either. But far back to her wobblies, are you of the impression that with her being at the ripe old age of 46, when she take her bra off, they just like boom, down to the floor, or like what's your that's your
no, I'm saying that they don't wobble. They don't have a natural bounce that regular women have. I think that she had them done in the 80s. I think it's a very bad job of whoever did it.
So you think she was like the first round of women that got breast implants in the 80s?
Absolutely.
When it was still at the experimental phase, and then she didn't upgrade them?
Yeah, she
like a grapefruit in a sock.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, I mean, it looks like they're made out of recycled tires.
It could be. And what I'm willing to do for the good of humanity and the Black Manosphere, Bernard and Game Changer, I am willing to volunteer myself to go and find out and ascertain if indeed Miss Mason got a boob job in the 1980s with that hard silicone, and report back and give you a report. I'm willing to do that.
How are you going to pull this off?
I have no idea. I may have to go in with SEAL Team 6 and drop in behind enemy lines and try to do it that way. I don't know, but I'm willing, for the good of the Black Manosphere, to volunteer and find out.
Fluff him with the cane. Fluff him with the cane.
I see her sleep at home in her bed, and I see you slowly ascending down like Tom Cruise in
Mission Impossible,
Impossible style, to reach down and
cop a quick meal there, Get the hell out of here.
All right. Since we already here, OG, what you got, man? What you got? Welcome to the show. Hey, and by the way, I didn't mean to. I almost. It was lighthearted when I said it, But when I went back and read it, it did look like I kind of cussed you out in my comment section. I meant it lighthearted. I thought you was about to spoil the Matrix movie. I'm about to go home and watch it as soon as I get out of here. So I saw you emailed me about it. Then you posted something in the chat about it. And the only thing I saw, it was like you were saying, I just watched the movie, and I'm thinking that, oh shoot, this man, he about to drop all kind of spoilers. So I was like, it ain't even out yet. I was like, what the fuck, So I wasn't trying to go off on you. I wasn't trying to go off on you.
Well, I didn't take it that way. And if you
okay,
did,
cool.
if you did, you've been consistent anyway. So I'm glad you go watch it at home. Can you hear me?
Oh no, I was just trying to see why Sister George got timed out. I can't even find what she said to get timed out, but let me just time her out myself. Hold on, wait.
Somebody in the chat room had a question for you too, Bernard. They made the argument that, were I to initiate Operation Tatas and ascertain if indeed Game Changer's surmise is correct, that's hard circa 1989 silicone there, that could be considered as grape. Now, what I'm thinking is it's definitely grope, but grape? I don't know.
Well, the difference between the first model of the breast implant is it either a sock or orange I'm gonna say orange or grapefruit in a sock. The next model came out with the Freddy Krueger type handprints in them when they bent over, and now they have got much better with them. But that's the 3 different models, so they are easy to define if you happen to see them, in a raw. But anyway, Bernard, good show today. Real good show today. And old man, good to see you in good health. And Name Changer, it's always good to see you. So let me ask you a question. I think y'all went on about a 45-minute discussion about human behavior. All right. We always get fluffed, men and women, when we're trying to draw somebody's attention to one thing or another when it comes down to media.
Wait, hold on. Wait, time out. Captain Cisco, thank you for the $2 super chat, but I had to delete it. I don't want people answering no questions about the movie. Let me see it first. Don't super chat a question about the movie. I don't want people giving away answers.
It's out?
Yeah, it came out today, basically. So the Matrix Resurrection. Yeah, so I'm about to go. But I'm gonna have to end this stream because somebody gonna spoil it in the chat room.
Oh yeah, I saw it. It was very good.
I don't even want to hear somebody tell me it's good. I like to go in that blind. So let's
go ahead.
No talking, no mentioning, no talking about the Matrix. Even though I did see Spider-Man.
I did too.
That was okay. See, yeah. Spider-Man. Yeah. Okay, it was solid. I'm contradicting myself. All right, but go ahead. Go ahead, OG.
You interrupt me. I don't know what the hell I was talking about now. But anyway.
What is your thought about grape versus grope? See, I think that Operation Tatas would call for me to do some groping. I'm willing to do that on behalf of my country and on behalf of the Black Manosphere that I so love. But grape, I don't know if it will be grape. It would be grope, though. I would definitely be guilty of groping.
Would you consider that mode 1?
Oh, come on now.
I don't think so, because I will be surreptitiously entering the compound and
I mean in a good way, but no.
That would not be, by definition, that would not be mode 1. Mode 1 would be, I would go to the doorbell, ring the doorbell, say, Miss Mason, I am here to inspect the tatas. Please assume the position.
That would be mode 1.
What position?
See, that's mode 1. As long as you ask first and you get permission.
Yeah. Mode 1 is verbal. If you make a bold physical act, you're not being mode 1. If you make a bold verbal act or a direct, straightforward verbal act, then you're being mode 1.
Yeah, because if you do
ARC don't get credit for that because people try to
if you
say
do
that.
A trunk, that's a mode crazy. Grab them by
there's an element of consent. There's a strong element of consent in being mode 1 because you have to put it out there verbally and they have to practically agree verbally. So yeah. Anyway, Coach still in the building. Hold on. I said the free market is always right. Black women don't need to compete for men because of male simp nature and simp culture. The man has to make them earn it. Shout out to Cole Still. Appreciate the super chat channel member. Appreciate all the channel members. Y'all are definitely valued members of my channel. Shout out to all of y'all. All right.
I know what I was
Go ahead.
saying
Go
now.
ahead. Go ahead. You remember now? Okay, go
Yeah, I
ahead.
remember what I was saying now. I was asking name changer and old man that don't we all get fluff when someone is trying to draw our attention to sell or something?
Yeah.
That's a
why
good point. That's a fair point.
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm saying that there's an advertising engine. I mean, whenever you have a product or a lifestyle, like, shout out to Kevin Simmons when he's talking about the Cosmo lifestyle, it's being pushed upon them. I mean, like Coors or Coca-Cola. I mean, everybody is, the marketing engine exists for the single without man black woman. Like, that lifestyle is promoted to them.
Okay, that was good.
Yeah.
But now your waves coming in real good, and I don't know what you matting your face with. Now you ain't got as much grease on your face. Studio was looking good yesterday with the matrix numbers 0 to whatever it's supposed to be 0 to 9.
0 to
it
1.
Was okay, 0 to 1. Okay, stand corrected. So everything was looking good. You had the right consistency with your studio with what you was talking about yesterday. If y'all didn't check out my overview of the last week's show, please do check it out. Just don't subscribe, but check it out. Like or not like. What else? How was Spider-Man?
See, I don't even want to. Well, Spider-Man been out long enough to sort of talk about it, but it's an aspect of it that I don't want to talk. It's a part of it that's so good I don't want to talk about it. Only thing I'll say is this, because the Matrix ain't okay. No talking about it. See somebody, time them out. If not, block them if they try to say something crazy about the Matrix. Because but Spider-Man been out a little bit, so I say this. It was real good. Only thing I'll say that I didn't I'll talk about something at the beginning, and this was one of the flaws in the movie that was kind of annoying me at first. It felt kind of like it felt kind of like a Disney movie. Spider-Man is young and kind of wacky and make jokes, but those jokes are good when he's with the other Avengers, but when it's his own movie, it do come off as kind of
dry
to me. Yeah,
dry.
yeah. So the beginning of the movie, I wasn't feeling it. The whole little thing that set up the plot, how Doctor Strange did some weird spell to try to help Spider-Man. I'm like, Doctor Strange would never do nothing that's stupid. He's smart. He's not going to play around with the fabric of reality to just help Spider-Man and his friends with some little small problem they was having. Yeah, and he did that. So I was like, oh, this is stupid. So I think I like even dozed off on
and that's
early
based on a comic, not the movie.
Yeah, and so I wasn't feeling it at first, but like an hour in, I was like, oh damn, this is good. Then like like an hour and hour and a half in, because I think the movie was 2.5 hours long. By an hour and a half, when I saw where they was going, I was like, oh, this is that deal. And yeah, so it definitely landed the plane. It landed the plane big time. Like it was. If you a fan of Spider-Man, you're gonna love it. And I'm gonna stop talking right now because I don't even want to slip up and talk about the best part of the movie. I don't want to talk about the best part of the movie. That part got to be a surprise. That part got to be a surprise. It was real good.
So will you do a small segment tomorrow on the Matrix? Could we talk a back check sometime tomorrow? And I'm gonna tell you my whole thesis on that whole movie.
Yeah, no, I'm probably gonna have my thesis on it as well. So I'll try to put it like this. Sometime and I do this because I don't like to do whole streams on movie reviews. I do it sometimes, but I think what I'll do is maybe after a show, or like maybe I don't know, maybe like one of the Freestyle Friday shows towards the end, I'd be like, all right, let's go in on the Matrix. I try to let you know in advance so that way you can come up. We could talk about it because the Matrix is one of those movies that we could have a lot to say about. But I'm about to get out of here because I'm scared somebody gonna spoil something.
Yeah, somebody already started. They already started.
Yeah, we're getting out of here. We're getting out of here. Let me turn down the chat. But all right, I'd like to thank everybody. I'd like to thank Shay Charday. Thank her for coming on through and covering this topic. Thank you to Obsidian, Game Changer, OG, J Speed, LAR Movement came through, so I gotta definitely give LAR his props. Some other brother came through that didn't have some failure to launch issues. I forgot your name, but thank you for come back, try again later. Shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to Theo, dropped like 100 on the super chat, and shout out to I believe the Mac. Oh wait, let me see if somebody came through on the Cash App end. Let me see. Let me see the Cash App in. I didn't hear nothing go off, so it probably was nothing. But let's see. Hold on. Want to acknowledge the Cash Apps before we get up out of here.
Why you
D-Rock
looking him
Den.
up? Go ahead.
D-Rock Den in the building with his customary $5 Cash App that he sends pretty much every stream. And Solomon, not Solo TV84, even though I think his real name is Solomon, but some other dude named Solomon sent $1 Cash App. Appreciate that. All right, so we about to get up out here. Obsidian, you was trying to get one last word in?
Yeah, is Spider-Man available on Disney Plus, or do you have to go to the theaters to see it?
I think right now you have to go to the theaters, and
I'm very leery about that.
Yeah, me too. Me too, man. Me too. I've
That's the reason why I didn't go to check out Shang-Chi. I didn't go see that. Didn't go see the Eternals. I don't want to be sitting in no theater with Omicron floating around. I really don't.
Yeah, man. My philosophy changing on this, man. I was, man. If that is too many people we know are dying from it to be, lax on it. I had my moments
really hit close to home for me.
Yeah,
man.
I had my moments where I made sure no matter what. Okay, shout out to J Speed, just sent the $5 Cash. I appreciate that. I had my moments where at starting out I was completely masked up and playing by all the rules, and had my sanitizer on deck, constantly. But then I got laxed, and and really the country kind of got lax after a while. They kind of just opened, like they damn near just quit caring. It's like they basically just said, hey, may the best immune system win, may the odds be in your favor. It's like, but yeah. Well, and I have my views. I have my views about putting a new vaccine in me, but I mean, it's like, I don't know, man. It's
I think.
Do you think the passing of Uncle Dave Bernard will? And I know this is a late question, but I think it's a fair one given where we at. Do you think that the passing of Uncle Dave will ignite more discussion about the coronavirus and the role it plays in the demise of Black men?
I think it should. I think we got to have serious talks about that. I think we do. I know some people have their strong rules about the vaccine. I've had multiple people come on my show and call it a plandemic, not a pandemic, plandemic. Some people have that view, and I think that view is on the extreme side. I don't think it's extreme to be wary of a vaccine that just came out a few months ago, to just put that in your body. It's nothing wrong with being wary about that, but at the same time, if you're wary about that, okay, well, are you being, serious about your health? Are you eating right? Are you dieting? Are you exercising? Are you walking around with pre-existing conditions while simultaneously saying, I don't trust that no new vaccine going in my body, but okay, well, what about all the fried chicken? So there's there
was a sister online outside of YouTube. There was a sister online that got a hold of some footage. Well, actually pictures from the Black Manosphere meetup. Several large gentlemen.
Yeah.
And she made the argument that this is the Black Manosphere leadership. Now, they weren't leadership. They were rank and file. But nevertheless, her point was Black men in the Black Manosphere are big as hell. They ain't got no right to be talking about Black women. My response to that, and this was before the demise of Uncle Dave, and this is definitely afterward, my response is, as much as it is a bullcrap talking point, it still is a point. And I think that with the success of the Black Manosphere meetup and with what's going on behind the scenes as we speak, I think we do, and in light of what happened to, and I think BGS is right in characterizing Uncle Dave as a patriarch, if not the patriarch, now ancestor of the Black Manosphere. I think it's only right that we in the Black Manosphere meetup leadership, if you will, Bernard. I think it's only right that we really get serious about promoting a program of Black male health and wellness. I think that's called for.
Absolutely.
I think you're 100% right about that, because that's how I came into this space, where helping men with their health. And I think it points out another thing too, Cydia. If you I'm sorry about that, but
you get me every time.
I think if you even go to churches and the leadership there, I mean, churches have led black women into the same thing. So I think it'd be a good course of action if that's part of what I would call, y'all call it a meetup, I call it a meetup convention, to have certain hours that you deliver certain specialties that will have black men grow into the be the best they can be. And I think health is probably number one on our chart. You know, because you can't do none of that AI or any of that stuff if you ain't got good health. If you can't slide under or wire something, or you know what I'm saying, you're going to sleep at your computer or whatever you're trying to do.
When I was going to trade school, there was it was a gentleman in the class who was big as hell. I don't know if he was going to be an electrician. I forgot exactly. This was a core class because it was a lot of different disciplines in there. Everybody from the electrician, the carpenters, the plumbers, basically everybody. It was just a core class, the general class about safety and all the basics of tools and all of that. I remember one of the guys in there. He was a man. He was about my height. I'm 6'1", but so he had to be pushing 400 pounds. So when we was doing the ladder safety part of it, man, when I had to see his big ass get like 20 feet up on that damn ladder, I was like, ooh, man, that looked dangerous. And then I started thinking, wait a minute, electricians, they do have to squeeze and crawl into tight areas and be doing stuff. And I'm like, man, I think they probably should pull you to the side and say, you might be too damn big for this job. Like, I mean, it is a serious thing. Like
now, I agree with you, Bernard and Jay. Now let's be clear here, and this takes us back to the disagreeable piece, and the point that you made beautifully a number of times over the past year or two, Bernard. Let's be clear about something here.
Oh, Obsidian, you about to take us off? We was trying to get off the air. You trying to take us all the way back to
these ladies are not being genuine. All right, they don't care about black male health and wellness. They don't. They don't care about black men being competent and successful. They don't. They're going to move the goalposts. I mean, we going because it's not hard to get whipped into shape as a man. As unlike women, takes more work for reasons we don't have to go into. But for a man, you can get whipped into shape in relatively quick time. Get the diet right, boom. That can happen, and I guarantee you, I put money on it that these lovely ladies will then just simply shift the goalposts.
Yeah,
because they're disagreeable.
All right, I'll say this to wrap it up. That overall, okay, yeah, it was some big pretty hefty guys at the Black Manosphere meetup. Not the majority, but it was definitely something that was on the hefty side of things. But one thing I can for damn sure say that we wasn't fatter than them dads on duty. That damn video. You know what I'm talking about.
Not only that, Bernard, but the guys who were big, they didn't even make up 20% of the overall attendance. The vast majority of the guys were quite svelte.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, even our big ones went bigger than them dads on duty.
Yeah, and so I'm just simply saying that. Yeah, okay. You know what? They're going to bring up this point. We did lose a dear brother in Uncle Dave, Omicron, but we got the Black Manosphere meetup. Tell you what, ladies, you're right. We're going to address this, but let's be clear. You don't give a shit about us. And you definitely don't give a shit about falling in line behind competent, productive, successful black men. As long as we can agree on that, we can do business.
But no, you got to be clear on this, though. You got to be very clear on this. Small size don't mean you are healthy. And I run into so many people I have, not you.
No, I know what you mean. I got you. I got you.
Small size don't mean healthy. I run into so many people who come to me and they are smaller, but then I look at them and I look the way they react. And matter of fact, I had a friend, John Singleton, passed away. And when we have this thing we call Day After Christmas.
Pick it up. Hold on, wait, real quick. Pick that up, OG.
What was it again?
Pick that up.
You want me to pick something up?
Yeah, that name you just dropped.
John Singleton.
All right, go ahead.
I had a friend that he passed away, and we have this thing that we have Day After Christmas, so all the actors get together and say what they want to do for the new year. And when I seen them, I told his mother, that he didn't look too healthy, you know, and he was a smaller guy. And so we must get this thing that just because you're small, you're healthy. No, you're not if you're not healthy. But I mean, I understand the mass can show that you are in an unhealthy state. But a lot of things can be going on with you smaller guys too. So don't get this thing that just because you're small, you're healthy.
All right.
Well, one thing you can do if you're a smaller guy like me is not be around excessively big women on the event that they tip over and fall on you or something like that, because your chances of survival will not be very good if that happens.
Well, that's the only way you can fit in a city.
Lion 917 said Shang-Chi, which I haven't seen, is on Disney Plus. I may watch that just because I do have Disney Plus. Car designer Chris shook his brother's hands at the Black Manosphere meetup. Says we about to get one more hour. No, the hell we not. I'm getting out of here. Perfect Blackness in the building says promote gym memberships. Absolutely. Shout out to Perfect Blackness. That's a in shape brother getting it in. But yeah, definitely. I do gotta get back on it, recommit to it. Gotta recommit to it. I be on and off. I be backsliding, be going astray.
Burnham, all you gotta do is just cut out the meat, man. Cut out the meat, cut back on the bread, cut back on the fried. You'll lose weight just like that. Bam.
I tend to lose weight. And this is the last thing I want to say. What tends to work for me, where it's a healthy diet where I can lose weight, but I can tolerate it and not be miserable, is when I basically keto. I gotta have my meat, but just vegetables with it for the size. So basically, when you're on keto, you're getting rid of all the sugar, you're getting rid of all the carbs, you're getting your meat, you're getting your protein, and you're eating vegetables for the size. Just basically just meat and vegetables, no liquid calories.
No vegetables. No vegetables.
Whoa, hold on. Okay, well, I don't do keto then. I do something else. But I do meat and vegetables, just no carbs, no sugar, no liquid calories. When I do that, I tend to lose weight when I stick to it. But all right, y'all, we got to get up out of here. And I think that is it. Shout out to Perfect Blackness one more again, and we are out of here. Peace.